What is going on, everybody? It is episode 442 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I hope you all had a nice long weekend. I know I did. How about you, Brett?
Mine was pretty. I mean, no, actually, I got hurt skating.
No,
so.
Okay, all right.
But it was relaxing. But I'll tell you this: I'm actually one of those people where I always love the idea of a long weekend. I love the idea of time off work, but then if I have nothing to do, and I'm horrible at I don't use my time well. I don't find things to do to pass the time. Every girl I know can find 1,000 things to fill the day. I'm not such person.
Where are all these girls that know how to fill the day?
It's a Bill Burr skit where he talks about it's like when you date a woman, you never realize how much free time you had until she's filling up your Saturdays with stuff to do. But for me, I had all this time off, and I got hurt on Saturday, and the rest of the weekend just felt like time passed in slow motion. So,
yep,
but it was
injured.
Relaxing. But yes. And to my right, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sara with Cast Brew Coffee.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Had a nice long weekend.
I was going to say, how was your long weekend?
It was great. When I came back today, though, I forgot how to do my job, and it took me 5 minutes to do the first email, and then I got back into the swing of things.
Okay.
I don't even need days off to forget how to do my job. I forget how to do my job all the time.
Also, I'm wearing merch that was given to us by the guests on Friday.
Yep.
Free My Boy Trump mugshot shirt given to us by the Mostly Peaceful Latinas.
Mary is of the opinion, she has a hot take, I suppose, that Donald Trump has no cringe.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump has ever done anything actually cringe. I've never seen a Trump cringe compilation.
You know what it is? It's because he owns it. When he dances, he knows that he doesn't look like your typical dancer, but it's he owns it, just like he owns his waist high thumbs up that he does in photos.
It
could all be really cringy, or it's not because he owns it.
Yeah.
So there's
if you
no
look
cringe.
up Trump cringe, you just see faux pas, he shook the wrong person's hand.
What about Kofifi? But he owned Kofifi.
No, so, everything that seems like an L, he just touches it and it turns to gold.
Turns it into a W.
Turns it into a dub.
It's what he's good at. So, and we've got Trump in the intro today, so we're gonna get into that. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Burning Man seemed to be just rife for controversy and problems over there.
Drowning Man. You get what I mean?
Burning Man had a bunch of problems over the weekend. There were rumors on top of the flooding and the fact that people thought they were going to all turn into cannibals once they started laying off the drugs or once the drugs ran out. There's rumors. Not fact, rumors that there was an Ebola outbreak, supposedly. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Jordan Peterson, who is being slammed for supposedly ripping off a scene from Skyfall in an interview he did with Theo Von. We're also going to get into his response to what Bill Maher said while talking to Joe Rogan about some stunning and brave ideas like don't cut your junk off because it's bad for you. So
amazing.
It's amazing, stunning and brave. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the fact that Woody Allen's new movie has premiered at a film festival, at the Venice Film Festival, and people were protesting outside because people rightfully find Woody Allen just a tiny bit creepy. So we're going to discuss that. We are also going to get into the phenomenon of boy moms, which I've been railing against for a while now. But there's a particular example of this clip of an overly exuberant boy mom giving her son, who just won a football game, a hug. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. So if you ladies are ready, we will get right into it. Mary, are you ready?
I'm ready, but I think my computer is dying. One moment.
Okay, you got to get a cord for that there. Is it not plugged in? You got to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta give it CPR.
Are you ready, Sara?
I am ready. My
ready?
computer's doing great.
Yours is plugged in. We know how to do our jobs here. We've got this figured out. All right. So I'm going to make a couple of short announcements first because these are less influential or less important. Number one being that Winnie the Pooh 2 Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is underway with filming over in the UK, and they've replaced Christopher Robin in the movie. They've got a different guy, which is odd because I thought he actually did okay in the movie.
I mean, it's the biggest thing that's happened to his career as an actor. I don't know
Yeah.
why he would forfeit the chance at a sequel.
Sarah, did you get a chance to see this movie?
I did not. I didn't know it had come out, but I would like to see it very much.
It is a funny horror movie.
Yeah.
It's very, I enjoyed it. Like it's like, we were the only ones, me and Mary felt kind of like psychopaths because we were the only ones laughing.
Yeah, everyone else
in
was
the
taking
theater.
it way too seriously.
Is it like Violent Night vibes?
Yeah, no.
Well, it's not nearly as well made as Violent Night was.
It's played for serious, but it's a giant guy.
Did you ever feel like the suspense in any of the scenes?
No, I was just waiting for the gore.
I was that person that can't suspend disbelief and was like, why aren't you just killing him? Like, they had plenty of chances to kill Piglet and didn't take them. That was what bothered me about it.
It was supposed to be genuinely scary. It wasn't like satire, considering it's a giant teddy bear.
It
that's
was
murdering.
It is
satire,
satire,
but I
but
guess everybody else in the theater just didn't catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't laughing.
Also, guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Let's get a crisis party to welcome us back for after Labor Day. Now that we're back at work doing our labor. Remember, all Super Chats $20.
Doing our
and over.
labor, our hard manual labor. Isn't it the ironic thing that like only white collar workers get Labor Day off?
Yeah. I do
It's
like
really perfect. The entire point of the holiday is just completely
I do
undermined.
laugh because it's like when people are like, "Oh, do you have a hard job?" I'm like, compared to what? Like, I'm not digging in the trenches.
Right.
I have a very easy job per se, but it's like it's got its own struggles. But woe is me, like for having a really like. Actually, I was
the
okay.
podcasting business is a jungle of sorts.
I was explaining this to someone the other night. So I was saying like it's like Monday night, right? Like you're getting ready to go to bed, and it's like programmed in you when you're young and you don't want to go back to school. Like after a long weekend, you're bummed. Like you're like, oh, I got to get up and go to
I literally
school.
made that joke. I was like, I have to go to school tomorrow.
So like for me, it's like I'm thinking, oh my God, this is awful. But then I'm like, you like your job. Why do you feel like this right now? You enjoy getting up and going to work. It's so ingrained from 12 years of school that you're like, oh my God, I got to go to school. I got to go to work tomorrow.
I still have
But-
school nightmares.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was
Like-
only a few years for you.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I mean.
Well, this summer after I graduated, the entire summer, every single night I had a nightmare about not being able to graduate. Like that I failed one test or one quiz or something that disqualified me every single night. It
Yeah.
was psychological terror.
It's kind of adorable.
I don't have memories of. I mean, granted, like when I finished school, Mary was like just starting school. So.
I graduated before COVID, so I'm basically a geriatric.
Wild.
So
1 year before.
You're getting so guys, they are making Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. It is getting filmed right now. So I do recommend going and checking
How
it out.
exciting.
Yes, it is. Also, guys, Wednesday Addams is kicking Percy Hines White to the curb.
Because he got Me Too'd, right?
Yes. Well,
He
he's
was accused
Someone he was
of
17, right?
almost like more like mean-toed. Like they're like, remember? It was like both of them. It was like him and his friends would invite girls to parties and they were mean.
No,
and-
it was more than that. I mean,
Was
they
it?
said that
Oh,
when
yeah.
they were 17, some of them 18, they were inviting girls who were much younger than them to parties, getting them drunk, convincing them to do things, you know. But I don't know. It's like there was no proof for any of it. He probably is getting written out of the show because he wasn't in the plot of the second season anyway.
But people will attribute it
He
to
was
the
part
fact
of
that
this
he was...
love triangle that was like totally pointless to the storyline and didn't make sense for Wednesday's character at all. Like she was almost too surprisingly open to romance in the show.
Yeah,
Do you feel
yeah.
that way too?
Yeah, definitely. It felt a little forced and weird, and like I said, she's just so unfriendly to the point where it's not even like, ooh, this is like hard to get. To where having one guy, let alone two guys, like
No, she was
simping were
unfriendly
a
to
bit
them.
much.
And guys love that. Guys love the chase. They just want you to be a dick to them.
We were
That's
arguing
what
about
they
this
want.
before
we
the
had a long
show.
discussion.
How TV shows and movies, they make it out like the meaner you are to a guy, the more he's going to chase. And that does work up to a certain
That
extent.
gets you. That gets you a. That guys catch a charge for doing that now.
Yeah.
Like that much clear. Like that's you know how they talk about enthusiastic consent? That's an enthusiastic non-consent. That's a please back up from me.
That's
and
why guys are like, can you please sign here before
Yeah.
we engage in any physical
Did
contact?
you see the one I sent you? The one
I
over the weekend?
did.
It's
That
this
one was
guy
fun.
and this girl, and like her hands are tied up, and like she reaches up to kiss him, and he like drops a contract between them. He's like, I'm gonna need you to sign here.
Holds the pen in your mouth.
And then he's like, I need you to admit, like, say to the camera, like, I enthusiastically consent to this act. And then like the camera pans out and his lawyer's there to watch the whole thing happen.
It doesn't even matter because it can be revoked anyway after
you
the
can.
fact.
Like they made apps for that. They made it like an app that you can have where you both sign the app. I'm like, she's just gonna say that you forced her to sign it.
This is the result of online dating too, like dating apps.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Like I said, dating apps, horrible idea.
Awful.
As I said. So
I
they're getting rid of Percy Hines White because he's like you said, he's probably just being written out.
And this is like because when he was basically like a senior in high school, he was that guy hitting on the freshmen. Is that kind of what they're insinuating? He was that guy, or not
some
even?
Pretty young, like 13.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like?
But
ninth grade?
Like where are the parents?
Maybe eighth,
where are the parents?
maybe
Eighth grade.
I was 13 in 7th, so.
Was it?
I was 13 in 7th grade, and I was older for my grades. So
okay.
I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, like he's
it sounded weird, but nothing out of the question for fuckboys.
Yes, but also like it's Hollywood is like if we were to find out that this was due to that reason, Hollywood is very pick and choose with how they enforce these types of rules. So,
True.
Yeah, because Hollywood's full of scumbags.
Yeah.
Also, guys, I have a song for you all. I don't know if we're gonna. Should we just play the first verse?
No, we're not gonna get copyrighted on
You don't think so? But guys, Mary may not have liked Oliver Anthony's Richmond, north of Richmond.
I love.
But I sent her this over the weekend because I wanted her to have a great Labor Day. So somebody was finally able to do the song justice for Mary, and here it is. It's Donald Trump singing Richmond, north of Richmond. Thanks to
at the CPAC 2017 keynote.
Thanks to Maestro Zikos. Here we go.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. So I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you.
I've never seen that Camo Make America Great Again hat.
And it not be true, but it is. It is living in a new world with an old soul.
It doesn't really sound like him.
North of Richmond,
They didn't need the auto-tune.
Just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think. Wanna know what you do. And they don't think you know, but I know that you do. Cause your color ain't shit. And it's text to no end. Those rich men, North Richmond.
I have to hear him talk about fat people
Living
though.
in a new world.
Yes.
Get it.
Go, Donnie, go.
With an old soul.
Oh my God.
Keaton is balling says I'm Trump dancing right now.
I wish politicians look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. But got into 5'3" and 300 pounds taxes.
He's never seen a skinny person drink Diet Coke.
Putting themselves 6 feet in the ground. Cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. It is.
There we go. There we go.
I love how they cut to the thing of him being like,
Look, it's a bop. It's a bop.
It is.
I love him.
It goes very hard. It's very fast paced.
Better than the original.
that's what the
Saying it
genre of
right
the
now.
original should have been.
Yeah.
You know,
Clearly.
they're all different. I enjoyed the original one, but this one is more likely to get play from me if I'm out driving.
Yeah. Or at
I
the
want
club.
the,
They can play this one at the club.
The clip of him in the car with Barron
Yeah.
and Melania recording
Yes.
from the backseat playing this.
Playing Taylor Swift. Except for he should have been playing this. I'm telling you, if he loses the election or he goes to jail, he's going to record an album in jail. He's going to record an album in jail. It's going to be good.
Yep, come out with the prison bod and the
he's
two albums.
He's just jacked and full of tattoos.
He added
I love
teardrop tattoo.
Technically, as somebody who runs what is essentially a criminal organization, which is the federal government, he could have tattoos of all the people he's dropped,
Dang,
bombs on.
threat.
He can do that.
Threat right there.
I mean,
wow.
I'm just saying he's still a war criminal, just like all politicians or all presidents.
He didn't start
I
any new
agree.
wars.
Yeah, well, he still dropped plenty of bombs.
Still a politician.
So, all right, guys, we're going to move on. We're going to talk real quick because Disney, they're looking to hire a crisis management person right now because
If anyone is in the market, in the job market,
$337,000 job they're looking
That's
to
all?
hire for them to do. I know, right? Imagine having to fix all of Disney's problems for less than $500,000.
it's not
cheaping
enough.
out, man.
That's
No.
crazy. But it's also over the weekend, there was a rumor going around that they canceled Snow White because
Yeah.
everyone's like, we hate Rachel Zegler.
Because a right-wing satire website made a joke article
Yeah.
about Disney canceling Snow White over the backlash,
Yeah.
and then people started believing it and mounting up evidence for it, which is it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So they haven't canceled it?
No.
I mean, maybe if the strike goes on for long enough, we'd be so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
They're not done filming yet.
Gran Turismo.
Do you
we
know?
still don't know why.
They're definitely not done filming Snow White, right?
No.
Yeah,
no,
they're
not even close.
Well, hopefully that strike keeps going strong,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they just decide to
Recast
shelve
her.
that.
They've done that before. They've
Just-
recasted people halfway.
Well, who would you put in there if you could put somebody in there?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably someone who actually looks more like Snow White.
Who would it be?
I don't know that many
Because
actresses.
a lot of people are naming
Oh.
actresses who've already aged out of that.
Billie
would have
Eilish?
made a great one.
Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish, I like her. I think she could do it. She's, I think, more
So we
likable.
want homely looking.
She doesn't
Snow
look
White?
like Snow White though. She's just white.
Yeah, she has like that. She's very pale and like.
And I don't want a dead-eyed Snow White.
So no
she
Christina
should be,
Ricci then.
But she can sing, and she's, like, she has a beautiful voice, and I think people would like her more. And she's not as like insufferable, and she interviews well.
Honestly, she's more insufferable.
You think?
had to ask.
You think Billie Eilish is more insufferable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, somebody in the chat says 300,000 sounds great to me. I was like, not to fix Disney's problems.
Bro, you would be having
not
a
enough.
mental
Like,
breakdown
yeah,
on day
dude,
one. They
like-
give you all the like confidential files.
Have you seen the video I sent you at one point? It's like it's a producer for DC, and it's like them trying to like solve the Ezra Miller problem. He's like he did what? They're like, well, it's not like it was a child. It was a teenager. It's the whole thing. It's.
I mean, the
hilarious.
reason that they were able to get Sound of Freedom from Disney was because they had so much dirt on them.
Wait, really?
Allegedly, that is
I don't know
why.
if I buy that.
I thought it was just because Disney just didn't want to produce it anymore.
I don't know if I buy that.
That's what I've
also,
heard.
what about Jenna Ortega?
I mean, if we have to race swap,
Yeah.
that's an option. She's not a singer though.
Dub it. Who cares?
Dub it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dub it. No, nobody
People
cares.
said, it should have been Selena Gomez if you were going for a Latina Snow White,
Yeah.
but like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That would have worked just fine.
Who are the new young Disney stars, like Zendaya or something? Or there's another generation after her now, right?
Yeah.
Well, Zendaya is in the same generation as Selena.
Is she?
She's
Selena-
28, right?
Okay.
How old?
Zendaya.
Selena's 28.
Selena
Or
is
no, I'm
like
sorry.
30.
Zenday's 27 or 28.
Okay.
I only know that because somebody posted a picture over the week. I have no idea why I know that, but she like had a birthday recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, Zendaya seems to be the go-to person in Hollywood now if you want like a mediocre
People would
actress.
kick up more of a fit about Zendaya being Snow White than Rachel Zegler.
Oh, I'm with B-Hammer. Sydney Sweeney. Let's go.
I don't know who that is. Lana Del Rey.
Shouldn't she be like a blonde Disney princess?
We will make her blonde. Wait, isn't Sydney Sweeney blonde?
Yeah, that's why she would play a
so
blonde princess.
We'll make her.
Sleeping Beauty.
We'll make her dark. hair.
Aurora,
Yeah.
Princess Aurora.
Oh, I do love Sydney Sweeney. I mean, I don't know anything about her, but I think she's gorgeous.
definitely too sexed up for a Disney princess role, but
Just a tad bit.
I mean, at this point, though,
we were. What was that on air on Friday when we were talking about why people like her?
why people like Sydney Sweeney
Yeah.
or what?
And yeah, like what it is they find attractive about her.
I was saying it's definitely more than just her rack.
It's the eyes.
It's
the
in her
eyes.
her
The bedroom eyes, right?
Yeah.
and her bunny teeth,
It's
which
the
no one
eyes.
seems
Yeah.
to appreciate.
It's the eyes, not the eyelashes. That's what it is. It's the eyes, not the eyelashes.
I was waiting.
I saw another funny video over the weekend where a lady's like, she's got like these ridiculous fake eyelashes on and she's driving and
They're
convertible,
flapping in the
and
wind.
and they finally get pulled off her
No.
face and she's and she almost crashes the car.
Okay, I have a suggestion
it's a
now.
safety hazard.
The girl from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
11.
Haley,
She's
Millie-
a great actress.
Millie
Bobby
Bobby
Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Or
Millie
the
Bobby
girl-
Brown is annoying
Oh,
too.
the girl from Sabrina. The girl from The Adventures of Sabrina.
I haven't seen that, but Millie Bobby Brown is probably more annoying.
She is
than
yeah.
Rachel
She seems
Zegler.
like very cocky.
If we're looking at like PR concerns, like
I have a
the
list. Elle
the only
Fanning.
plus is that she
Actually,
was
like, what about McKenna Grace? But she's
I don't know who that
McKenna
is.
Grace was in Ghostbusters Afterlife. She was born in 2006, so she might be too young for the role.
I mean, Snow White is literally supposed to be
Okay.
14.
So I think McKenna Grace could possibly do it if you haven't
Yeah.
seen Ghostbusters. If you go, she's literally the only reason to go see Ghostbusters Afterlife, other than the cameos at the end. She's the joke I made is like she's gonna need
so
she's gonna need
cute.
back surgery from carrying that whole movie on her shoulders. That's how good she was in that movie. And yeah, I think she could do it. Or one of the, somebody mentioned Elle Fanning. I just watched Dakota Fanning in The Equalizer 3, but they're a little old now. I
Dude,
think.
I miss when
Yeah.
Dakota Fanning was young because she was in every movie and they were all great, and she was a great actress.
I
She was,
love
like
her
the
in
best
Twilight.
child actress.
In Twilight, Dakota Fanning was one
She
of
in
the
Twilight?
Volturi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing.
I'm more of a
War of the Worlds.
Dakota Fanning was good in Man on Fire with Denzel
Yeah.
Washington. So it's really funny. Somebody posted a picture of like her and Denzel Washington at the premiere for Man on Fire, and then like at the premiere for The Equalizer, like at a thing for The Equalizer. He doesn't look all that different. Like the adrenochrome is hitting real good, and like
The Rock
He's got
has
that
looked
good-
the
good-
same for
it's
2
because
decades, probably.
he's a boulder. He hasn't really. There's a great meme. It says like the evolution of The Rock. It shows The Rock when he was in WWE was actually way smaller than he is now. It's just only The Rock could make The Rock look like a pussy. But then it's like The Rock in wrestling, The Rock in Jumanji, and then it's just a huge boulder.
Dakota Fanning was also in a movie with The Rock, right, where she plays an alien.
I don't. If she was, I didn't see it.
I believe.
But yeah. So I say recast. Let's just do that. Let's just recast.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Rachel Zegler. Nobody likes Rachel Zegler.
They didn't even go to the trouble of dyeing her hair black.
What color was it? Just brown?
Snow White has black hair.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but Rachel Zegler's just
it's just
brown.
she just
Yeah,
kept
it's her
her
natural.
natural hair.
It's possible that they might do that in post production.
Can anything be real anymore?
No, like from what somebody told me one time, like certain types of like if they're gonna use temporary hair dye, gives like an unhealthy sheen that's hard on the camera. Like it lights, it's hard to
I
light.
guess.
So they would have to either actually dye it, which she may not
wig.
have wanted to do, wear a wig, or they'll just do it in post with color correction. So they did that like in the Harry Potter movies. He doesn't even have green eyes. The actor doesn't even have the eye
they
color.
changed that.
No, they
Oh,
don't. They don't even do it in
I
post. They
didn't
just leave it.
noticed.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Which is like the biggest insult to the character because it's like the most commonly referred to thing when they're trying to describe what he looks like. The eyes like his mom. So. All right, guys. Priscilla Presley would like you to know that she wasn't being porked by Elvis when she was 14.
It's all just TMI.
Yes, it
all
is.
over the place. She says, I wasn't banging Elvis at age 14. And we already knew this, right?
Yeah.
We did a whole topic on Priscilla and Elvis's relationship a while back.
When Baz Luhrmann's Elvis was coming out.
It's almost weirder than that. They didn't have sex until they were married when she was, I believe, like 20 or 21. But he like took lewd photographs of her, and they
The
did
funeral
other
or the
weird
stuff with the coroner or something.
he drugged her one time and she was knocked out, and he took her to a morgue. Like there were all sorts of messed up things that happened between them when they started dating that are honestly worse than if he were just like statutory R-ing her.
Yeah.
Well, there's a movie coming out called Priscilla from
Yes.
Sofia Coppola,
Which
that
is
people
supposed
are-
to reveal like the truth of their relationship, and it's controversial because the Elvis estate is not letting her use any of his music in the movie.
What are they going to do? Like covers?
Makes people want to watch it more, right?
Yeah.
If they know that it's not establishment approved.
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes if it's like if Americans will reject it because they're sick of seeing their idols fall. Like they're sick of seeing every like I said when Mr. Rogers died, for like 3 months, every time a Mr. Rogers article would come up, I'm like, please say
You're
he's not
hoping
a,
it's
please,
not.
Yeah,
he's not a
same.
bad
I
guy.
remember
He's
that.
not a bad guy, right? He's a good guy. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Like people are sick of seeing the people they grew up love. Same with Pee Wee Herman. Everyone just forgot. Like everyone just accepted. They're like, so he jerked off in a movie theater.
It was one time.
It was one time.
It was one time.
And everybody just kind of accepted. Like, look, he did a lot for my childhood. He was a great.
Right.
Like I love his comedy. Brought me a lot of joy. He jerked off in a theater once. There was no kids in the theater. I guess it's
Right.
fine.
He didn't
That's
do anything
literally-
to
Really
kids.
weird though.
Yeah. So,
But wasn't it like an X-rated movie too?
what? The one
What he went to?
Yeah, it
Why
was
would
like,
kids have been in the theater then?
Well, I'm saying, but
Right,
then,
that's the point.
But when the articles came out, nobody mentions the X-rated theater part. They just mention Pee Wee Herman caught jerking
I think
off.
it
Wait, so
Originally,
this
they-
wasn't a normal movie theater.
No.
This was a.
If I remember
no.
correctly, it wasn't. It was
Porn
like
movie
it was like
theater.
he was going to look at. It was like porn on the big screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like I assume wouldn't be against the rules at a place like that.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were like, it's Pee Wee Herman. They
Still weird. It's just like how nobody talks about the fact that MJ did it. You know, like we all know that. You can still like his music. It's fine.
Yeah. The music, you have to separate the music from the artist. But
But
in
I
Pee
think
Wee
for
Herman's
Elvis,
case- yeah.
sorry.
Or no, we should back to the
for
topic.
Elvis, I'm just saying it's interesting because he was sort of a sexual awakening for America at the time that he was at his biggest. You know.
Yeah, as somebody who like.
But it turns out that behind the scenes, big surprise, he was actually a pervert.
Yeah.
Oh, they're saying it is against the rules to jerk off in those theaters. Probably cleaning
Really?
those seats would be
Ew.
I mean, if it's a porn theater, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Right. It's
so.
like it's a rule, I
Yeah.
would assume.
Hard-
But,
The fact that he would
It's
go to
a-
one of those is weird enough.
It's a hard and fast rule, you could say,
Yeah.
and it's just not something that you want to do there. And I do think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that people don't want to see their heroes fall anymore, and everyone's
Yeah.
just like,
Well-
you're better off just burying. Like, imagine you're somebody who's like, you just never read the news, you don't know what's going on, and you're listening to your Michael Jackson,
Your
and you're
Elvis.
listening to your Elvis, and you're watching your Woody Allen movies, and you're completely oblivious to the fact that the people whose entertainment you're consuming are in a lot of ways monsters.
Yeah. Because I
And
was
maybe that's why they're good artists.
And also, sexual crimes seem to be, by societal standards, more unforgivable than actual, like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
they're
like
like,
a
yeah,
known
kill the
thing.
guy. Well, maybe the guy had it coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's
if he-
Like when I hear that about Mark Wahlberg's past,
yeah.
committing hate crimes or whatever, I don't care nearly as much as if it were a sexual allegation.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just
Even
there's
Bill-
something distinctly evil about that.
And even like what Bill Cosby's going back on tour. Like,
Yeah. Is
like
he?
the crazy thing
We're
is,
gonna
is like,
go.
dude,
We're gonna
that like there's just I love
get your tickets.
the crazy thing is like there are people like look I'm kind of I'm not the most optimistic person, right? Like you fall
You
down
can be
once.
sometimes.
So,
Give
but
yourself a
here's the
little
thing:
credit.
there are just unscrupulous managers who are just like they just hear anyone, they're like, we'll rebrand you. Like some dude's just like, dude, it's just a hiccup. Yeah, yes, you drugged a bunch of women, you harmed a bunch of women. It's
If
just
Kevin Spacey can do it, anyone can.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there are people whose entire job it is to be like, it's just we're gonna soften the language to
Right.
had inappropriate relations, and then we're just gonna go forward with your career. There's people whose job it is to do that.
I think the theaters should do another showing of Elvis the biopic at the same time that Priscilla is showing, so you can do a double feature.
both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little background on his character and
Yeah.
then go see the real side, the real story.
Not good.
Something-
Not good.
What I do find interesting about this though that I hadn't thought about before is that back then they didn't have like all this online I don't know if we can say the word, but like prawn, I guess is that the
Yes.
word. And I was actually just watching something where this guy talked about how it ended up being a slippery slope into watching like child stuff. So I feel like that's pretty much the same thing that happened with Elvis minus the access to the internet. It's like he had access to pretty much any woman he wanted to have access to, and eventually he was like, it's not enough. And so, I mean, taking photos of a 14-year-old, like lucrative photos, is child prawn and like child abuse. So I think it was just like a different version of like that slippery slope that's now happening and could happen to anyone. You don't have to have Elvis Presley's like mega fame to do that anymore, which is just a wild thought that I just had and wanted to share.
Even weirder is that Priscilla's parents were seemingly so approving of their relationship, and maybe saw it as a way for her to get security. And also for what you're saying, what you're referring to, is just like when someone becomes so powerful, they get bored, and then that's when they use their power to do evil.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how you get an Epstein.
Yep.
So that's like the opposite of the banality of evil. That's like the actual like scary evil, more than like just governments acting inhumanely, because that's how governments work. It's scarier that way somehow.
They say like absolute power corrupts absolutely. So could be a case of that.
Also, I mean, it is kind of a thing where Elvis was, like you said, a sexual awakening for the country. They're like, ooh, look at those dance moves.
It
so
was
scandalous.
like I don't know, like their videos of all the women in the crowd like absolutely losing their minds, hysterics, like at him twitching his lip or like his shoulder, or like, which
Ron DeSantis will do for you now and give you the ick.
Yeah,
like Ron DeSantis will.
But
twitch
if you think about the power that had at the time, and now where we've gotten to in the aftermath of the sexual revolution, now like nothing hypersexual is even titillating or exciting anymore. It's boring.
You almost have to like cover your eyes to not see something on a daily basis, just walking around.
Yeah,
kind of feels that way. Yep. Speaking of having to cover your eyes if you don't want to see anything wrong, Kanye West has been banned from boats in Venice. Basically,
for his lewd public display.
He had a very lewd public display in which he was talking, or which he and wife Bianca Censori did stuff. Well, they're not legally married, so they keep saying wife, and I'm going to keep doing this. There's a $20 one there from Dreamcast Night.
Sadly, Paul Rubens was convicted of owning illegal prawn with kids. It was a while ago. He was on Everybody Loves Raymond, and I think he pled out because it was LA. As for Elvis, doesn't surprise me. Jerry Lee Lewis is a fun one.
There was a big time producer. He produced it's not Kreisberg. It's a different guy. That's Andrew Kreisberg. That's not what I'm talking about. That's disavow that. That's he got in trouble for like Andrew Kreisberg got in trouble for like, I guess, behaving poorly with the adult actresses on his set or something like that, and then was soft canceled by the industry. But there was like another producer that was doing stuff around that time on the Sci-Fi Channel who also got convicted of like thousands of images on his like he directed, if I remember correctly, he directed the pilot episode of Warehouse 13, and that guy ended up being like had like crazy amounts of child porn on his computer, and you're just like, Hollywood, of course. And his wife,
Jace Alexander,
yes, and his wife stuck with him, if I remember correctly.
It's always so weird when you see stories like that.
Yeah, so that's Hollywood. But yeah, Kanye West.
The poor Kanye, all he did was have a plumber's crack when he was on a river taxi.
And
everyone loses their minds.
And maybe get a blowjob. We don't know.
Maybe.
Like, there is no proof whether that's
true. The diehard Kanye stans claim that in that video, there was nothing going on. So...
It's like Pee Wee Herman.
Kanye West, Pee Wee Herman, it's kind of the same thing.
Trying to cancel our boys.
I am kind of impressed at how, like, Italy's just they're not having it. They're like, not on our turf. Dude, like, no.
They're a Catholic country. They're
the other reason I would have suggested going to see the Equalizer 3 is there's a lot of Catholic imagery in it. Like it's done very, very well, where this character is like, he's struggling with the choices he's made, the things he's done because of his career working for the CIA, and he settles down in Italy, and there's a lot of like Catholic imagery that's done very, very well. It's not over the top. It's not him like talking to a priest and having some moral quandary that would a lot of times come off as over the top, but it's just him, and then and you see the imagery of the church around them, which lets you know that this is a place that believes in the Catholic faith, and it's handled very, very well there. So if you're looking for a movie that does use it very well, I thought The Hill did it very, very well, if not maybe a little bit preachy in places or a little bit stereotypical in places, and also seeing it in Anthony Fuqua's The Equalizer 3. It was good.
Yeah, it's hard to make a religious movie that isn't a little cheesy, but there's some that are really good.
We liked, what was with Mark Wahlberg?
Father Stew.
Father Stew was good.
I don't think that was cheesy.
It wasn't.
I don't think
It's
so.
the Donald Trump of Catholic movies. It's not cringy.
It can't be cringe.
It can't be
It's
cringe.
immune.
It did good. So yeah, it says they've been married. See, they even use quotes in the article. Married.
Wife.
Married earlier this year.
Yeah, I just don't like the path that he's on.
It does feel like
Yeah,
he's kind of,
self-destructive.
he's not living his faith, right?
No.
Yeah, and you would think after Amanda Knox, people would not want to be wilding out in Italy
Wait,
because
what?
they prosecute hardcore.
I don't know anything about Amanda Knox or her story.
That would have to be like
That's like
it's
a whole
long story.
podcast
That's a whole
of its
podcast.
own.
Yeah, literally. But she was like accused of a crime and there was like no evidence.
She was
and
accused
they kept
of the
her in Italy.
kidnapping of a toddler, was she not?
That was that's
that a
Jason
different
Anthony.
one?
Amanda Knox was accused of
No,
murdering
like-
her roommate.
Oh, yeah. But there was like a different kidnapping of some kind. I'm mixing it up. I'm
Yeah.
not really a true crime person.
All right. What would you ladies like to see? Would you like to see cute of the day or cringe of the day?
What do you say?
Ooh, I think last time we did cringe and then cute, right?
Sounds right.
Let's switch it around.
Yeah,
All right.
cute first.
Cute first. All right, guys. We do have a couple of cute images for everyone today. This is not Kanye West we're about to see. This is Kanye Diggit on Twitter. Sent me this one here of his puppy Willow. She's 9 years old, and in her later years, the tongue has become a permanent fixture.
Love it.
I love it.
It's
Cute.
It's very cute. It's very cute. All right. Thank you, Kanye Diggit. And this one is from Hunt Breeze. Says, this is a Fancy Girl and Rip. They love wrestling each other, fighting for attention, and hiking trails at Red River Gorge in Kentucky.
Sweet.
That is very, very sweet.
They're living the life.
They look very well behaved there. I like it. Let's do one more. All right. Oh, that is a different one. That was something else that I was looking up earlier. Whoops. This is from Hugh Mungus. I'm sure that's his real name.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
A
Wait, is
whole
that its
fall
real hair?
photo shoot.
Yes. It says, our 9-year-old lionhead dwarf albino bunny named Gimli, son of Gloin, took us an hour to set up his fall
That's a
photo
Lord
shoot.
of the Rings reference.
Yes. Took him an
Correct.
hour to set up the photo shoot, and we only snapped these 2 photos. Yeah, I can't imagine
it.
being able to get
Unless you're sedating the bunny rabbit.
Well, it's like those
Not
videos
really
of it's like
possible.
those videos of the dogs that I always send you, the ASMR videos of the dog.
They're
getting-
weirdly calm.
Yeah, the dog is like, it's got to be out of its mind. On
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah.
It's like
that dog is high.
it's just high as hell. But there's that, and then
Cute.
Love it.
Gotta get-
It is
Dude.
pumpkin spice season.
Yes.
did you see my photo that I posted over the weekend? I sent this to you.
What was this?
Okay, so at the local grocery store, there was pumpkin spice Milano cookies, and I was like, I don't want to hear one more word about how capitalism doesn't benefit Western white women because this only exists.
Did anyone say it didn't?
I think plenty of people, plenty of feminists believe that capitalism only benefits white men.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but pumpkin spice Milano cookies only exist because capitalism wants to help give Western women their fix of pumpkin spice. Yeah.
You didn't get me any?
I didn't get you any.
Dang.
I,
I want to try these now. Me and Mary would have loved to try.
I'm actually
live
not.
on air.
I don't like pumpkin spice stuff. I don't like, not as like a principled thing. Like, oh, I'm not like other white girls. I don't like pumpkin spice. I just don't enjoy it.
just not your thing.
Not.
I'll
the
admit I
taste.
love it. Even with all the hype, I was like, oh, I may not like it with all the hype. And I tried it for the first time. I was like, this.
I'm just black
This
iced
is it.
coffee year round. I don't care how cold it is. It's
True.
I'm getting iced coffee.
I also pointed out, I said, like, I tweeted, like, I increasingly feel like a normie in an abnormal world. Like, I'll never not feel a bit like a normie. And then somebody's like, Brett calls himself a normie, then criticizes the normiest of normie culture things like pumpkin spice latte, which is like the most normie thing.
Yeah, and calls
How
the
dare
FBI
you.
an
How dare
organized
I.
crime group.
Yep,
Yeah.
basically. All right, guys. So before we get started again, guys, hit the like
Don't we
button.
have the
Oh yes,
cringe?
we have cringe of the day. I'm sorry, I got
Oh, yeah.
I got sidetracked
The
there.
best part.
All right, here we go. Mary found this one. Let's watch it here.
This was
Honestly,
maybe
don't
you
know
guys
what
have seen
to
this
do,
already.
But like, there was like really bad experience. Basically, I was just getting a drink at the bar.
Ugliest crying face.
And I ladies, after they were done making the drink, I went up and I was like, some people don't refer to themselves as ladies, but it's okay that you didn't know. And in a gay bar, so I should feel safe. So bad turned it around. They got so mad at me, and they took the drink away from my wife.
This feels fake to me.
Hit the bar, like,
No,
because
Isn't she like an influencer?
are you serious? You're doing the same thing to me. How? And then they kicked us out. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, how am I supposed to feel? This was the first time that I've, like, told somebody I felt brave enough to tell somebody my identity. And I just wanted to let him know, and I told him it's okay that you didn't know. He was still mad at me for being myself, and for my wife being themselves. Just her. We were kicked out so fast. And I tried talking to the other person. He came over and was like, what's going on? It was another straight white man. When I told him he's just not respecting our identity, and
At a
I
gay
don't
bar?
understand why. And he was like,
Why was there
you
a
know what,
straight white
just
man at a
leave.
gay
So I
bar?
got kicked out of a bar. Technically supposed to be a queer bar, but it's just gay white men.
Yes.
Oh my god, it was supposed to be a positive experience. I felt so embarrassed.
You should feel embarrassed.
What is the difference
This
between
is
a
way
gay
more
bar and a queer
embarrassing.
bar?
Wait, what?
She said it was supposed to be a gay bar, not a queer bar, or it was supposed to be a queer bar.
I guess queer is all inclusive.
Because you don't want old white gay men to be there if they think that non-binary isn't a thing.
Okay.
Like,
My head just
imagine
exploded.
If I didn't accept you for just being gay, dude. Like, are you serious? And he's told me, I'm being a gentleman calling you a lady. That's not something bad. Like, I'm just sharing that part, and I just wanted you to be like, okay, sorry.
What would you like?
What would you like to hear? And, like, it's not like we even talk a lot. It felt like a dad, like, yelling at you. Oh my god.
It still feels fake. It feels fake to me.
No, I think this is real.
One more thing that I wanted to add is that he yelled at my wife and told them that he sees us as ladies, and so he will always refer to us as ladies. Bye.
I want to meet this
And
bartender.
She looks like a young version of an actress named BB Newirth.
So you refer to someone as your wife, but also that's not a woman. Got it.
Apparently,
This lady definitely has some daddy issues if she's crying this much about a stranger, not affirming her identity as a non-binary they them.
Yeah.
she
Clearly. Like, I mean, she said it herself. Like, it was like a dad yelling at you. Like, okay. Call your father.
Do some
Try to
self-reflection.
resolve this with him.
Yeah.
She will end up looking like
Are you
this
so
lady when
triggered?
she's older.
But anyone who tells you that they were kicked out of a bar for being polite, I feel like you need to dig into that story a little
Yeah.
deeper, because that didn't happen.
I was
it didn't
just so
fucking happen.
nice. And they just
Yeah. They kicked me out for being a nice non-binary small bean.
It's just
It was so hurtful.
that much focus on like your identity. Like, I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Well, I feel bad that anything this small could send someone off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, she was clearly like
I got gum on my shoe. And no
yeah.
one
It's kind of
cared.
like, well, it's like it's like the idea is like whenever you're having a bad day, that's when like your coat gets hooked on the door handle or your backpack gets hooked on the door
Except
handle.
that's
I've
her
seen
reality
Yeah.
24/7.
Yes. So, you know.
We got one
Yeah.
from Half Baked Treehouse. Late as always, thank you, Mary, for the proper use of irony. Effing Alanis Morissette single-handedly break that word. Freaking frostbacks. I can say that. I am a POMC. What's a POMC? Person of maple color.
Could be.
Hi, coffee lady. Hi, Brett. For the tea I missed last time. The three T's there.
Hi.
Yes, there's a bunch of people who like to point out that the Alanis Morissette song does essentially just mean coincidence. you know, rain on your wedding day isn't really ironic.
When did I even say the word irony? I don't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, the rain on your wedding day isn't ironic, I guess. So the one about being afraid to fly and then the plane going down, that's ironic. That's and sad.
Ironic.
That's very ironic.
The black fly in your champagne is just bad luck.
Okay.
It's not irony.
All right, let's go ahead and now that we are 45 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to get started? I'd like to get started. Let's do that
jump
right
right
now.
in.
Let's jump right into it. So Burning Man happened over the weekend, and it became essentially Cannibal Holocaust mixed with a drug-infused escape from New York to get the hell out because rain set in. Mud became a very big problem. Celebrities were trying to get out. Everyone was trying to get away. And it all went to hell. I asked in the chat, I said, I put up a poll. I said, is what happened at Burning Man an act of God? I was like, do you think it's an act of God? So we're going to have to wait and see. Right now, 49% say yes. They believe
Let's
it's
hope
an act
that
of
it
God.
rains at Burning Man next year and the next year and the next year.
Forever. Just
so
wash
like
them out.
73,000 people, I believe, were attending this year. The rain caused 5 inches of mud to appear. No one could walk or drive through it. And then FEMA shows up, closes the gates. No one is allowed to leave. You have limited internet access. So can't even make TikToks crying for help.
It's like real Burning Man.
Yeah.
It's Burning Man turned into Drowning Man very quickly. There are people, you know, not able to enjoy their drug-fueled orgies the way that they had hoped.
Poor thing.
So sad.
Yeah.
And we have a Burning Man ticket holder with us today to tell us about what you were doing instead of going to Burning Man.
So instead of going to Burning Man, I ended up being baptized.
Yeah.
It was not planned out that way, but
Not in rainwater.
It was an
No.
ironic coincidence, if you will. So yeah.
So it's like a much better way to spend your weekend than sitting in the mud with a bunch of people in their fishnets and rave clothes.
Yep. Yeah.
That is
Sorry.
crazy.
I know. It wasn't planned that way.
I was laughing when I saw this news. I was like, oh my goodness, Sarah could have been there, like reporting from the ground for us. But it's scary, like, and I also think it's so ironic that Burning Man, the entire point of the festival, right, is you're against the system. You're literally burning an effigy of the man. And then you had FEMA. You had the government come in to help your asses, to save your asses from a natural disaster.
And this is what's going to happen. Like, look, if you remember well, I guess neither of you might remember the 90s all that well, but
a little bit.
The FEMA was a cause of many a conspiracy theory back in the alien-infused 90s, right? Like in the X-Files, FEMA are the bad guys. You don't want them showing up at your natural disaster. They're up to some shadowy, no good business, and that could have been what's going on here. The evil FEMA official. They didn't show up to Maui, did they?
The theory here is like the flooding wasn't so bad. It doesn't seem like a real cause for an emergency to be announced and for FEMA to show up. So the theories started spreading that this was actually about a plague outbreak of some hemorrhaging Ebola-like disease.
Yeah.
So TrueAnon on Twitter, very reliable source, says rumors on the ground here are that there's some sort of virus on the loose at Burning Man that causes boils, vomiting, and hemorrhaging. Apparently that's why they're not letting people in or out. No idea if this is true. Been in an RV all day. Source, I'm at Burning Man. They're not even letting helicopters take off from here. So yeah, mud is causing this. People are really freaked out. And then let's just play the TikTok from the lady talking about this virus.
This lady?
She reads a text message from someone at the festival.
The lady in the blue?
Kind of like a weird...
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna...
Most of y'all have probably heard that Burning Man was declared a national emergency, but there's some pretty crazy stuff coming out. So it was announced earlier that Burning Man was declared a national emergency because it was flooded. And so they sent in FEMA, which already seemed kind of like a weird reason to send in FEMA and keep anyone from leaving the festival. 73,000 people they're keeping locked in there for flooding. Now there's some new terrifying information coming out that there's a virus on the loose in the festival and that people are getting really sick with boils, vomiting, hemorrhaging. To me, this makes way more sense than flooding in terms of what their response was to the situation. This is a text from one of the festival goers, and he said, "Yo, just figured you should hear from me first. Daryl is crazy sick with something that has him coughing up really coagulated blood. Medics showed up wearing a full suit. No idea where he is now. I would stay inside your camper." And he goes on to say that an outside agency is putting up a fence. This is a different festival goer that said, "You're never gonna fucking believe it. They're saying it's Ebola." Freaking Ebola at Burning Man, guys. If this is true, that is insane.
I mean, I don't know if I buy it.
So as things stand right now, are people allowed to leave yet? Because
Yeah.
this is usually the time when people are leaving Burning Man anyway. They just weren't allowed to leave during the time when it was flooding.
Well, like we had the thing.
People were talking
where,
about like how much food supply do we have?
Well,
Straight to
no,
cannibalism.
And our drug supply
when
is
you-
drying up.
it's
More
when
important issue.
when the drugs run out, that's when you
Yeah.
have to worry, because if people are artificially keeping themselves calm,
Right.
you have to worry about what happens when, first of all, like if you're there and you're on a bunch of ecstasy and you then have to go through the shitty come down that is an ecstasy come down. And then you do that while trapped in the mud.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You don't even want an ecstasy come down in your own apartment. You don't want an ecstasy come down at all, let alone at a time when you're scared for your life. Right?
Yeah.
Not fun.
I watched a video that someone made, like someone who was stuck there, and he had a YouTube channel, and he put together a video, and he was going up to people like it was a joke, as though they were not in a state of emergency. They were like, "Oh, we're having a great time. What are you talking about?" But that's just until everything wears off, and they realize they're stranded in the middle of the mud. Because how could you enjoy that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
I don't buy the Ebola thing, but I do think it's
yeah.
crazy that everybody
Maybe some STDs going untreated
yeah.
for sure.
or like fecal matter in the mud.
Well, Elijah Schaefer posted this satirical tweet about being at Burning Man. He said, "Okay, yes, there's a ton of mud, sometimes covering our shoes entirely, making it impossible to walk. But come on, guys, a lot of things can crash a good LSD candy flip high at 11 a.m. on Sunday. But nowhere have I heard someone blame mud for killing the vibes. Also, mud does little to get in the way of tent orgies. Who doesn't like it a little messy? I got a UTI from some sort of mudworm parasite that climbed in my urethra, but I poured vodka down the shaft so the infection doesn't burn that badly anymore. No complaints here."
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't go.
What would you be doing right now if you were stuck here?
If I was stuck there. Oh, okay, so first of all, I probably would have hated it.
Just
the whole
jump the
time.
fences?
If I was stuck there, I would have walked the 6 miles.
Yeah.
I would have done what Chris Rock and Diplo did, and just
Yeah.
walked the 6 miles and been like, peace.
They
Yeah.
escaped
Peace out.
Burning Man, it looks like. Chris Rock and Diplo hitched a ride in the back of a fan's pickup truck to leave.
One time when we were on tour, and the RV we were in broke down, and it was a super old RV. Like got it for very, very cheap.
Like a skating tour.
Yeah, like so, and like the RV broke down, and we just as luck would have it, we ended up like outside of like a place in Chicago that had like a vintage RV repair shop, which is a real thing. That's
extremely rare.
But it was gonna take like a week to get it fixed, so we were essentially stranded there. And the guy who owned I'm not kidding you, the guy who owned the shop let us take his truck back to Minnesota until it was ready, and then come back and then meet halfway to pick it up when it was done, like a week later.
What a nice guy.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
like isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like the dude's just like, yeah, sure. It's like 2009. I wonder if that would happen today, like in the world we live in now. Like now you can be like, I can track it anywhere it goes. Like you got GPS in it, but back then it was just like the guys.
I feel like especially like with the Burning Man crowd, it's not the old school crowd that it used to be. It's like all these like young YouTube influencers or Instagram influencers.
Tech bros.
Jack Dorsey's
crypto
over.
bros.
Jack Dorsey just teleported out with his drug supply that just gives him the ability to appear one place and disappear from another.
Just going to Burning Man in 2023, no offense. Sorry. you
I mean,
bought
there's
tickets.
there's people.
It just is so bizarre to me.
There's people.
If there's
I think-
anybody in the chat, by the way,
really.
who's been to Burning Man in the past, please tell us about your experience.
I saw Andrina in the chat saying that she said Burning Man's fun, drugs or not. So like I think there's people that disagree with you. There's people that would say
It's
that
not
it's a
a
good time.
requirement. I mean, like, I think especially like it used to be this cool thing. Like, still, I think when I was growing up, I got tickets originally for someone else, and I put them on my card. And then I was kind of back and forth about wanting to go for the same reason, because it's just not what it used to be, and I think a lot of people don't want to let that go. And then when I saw how freaking expensive it is, dude, people want to charge you $10,000 to rent their RVs for a week to go to Burning Man. So it's not like a scrappy, let's go and
it's not about burning a man if you are the man.
Exactly. It's a bunch
the
of
man
people
are the
who
attendees
yeah.
at Burning Man.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people who want to cosplay as anarchists for a week or two.
But it's just so funny how these same people, I presume, were the ones rejoicing about these submersible deaths, because these were rich people, so I guess they deserve to die a horrific death.
Right.
They're the same ones being like, it's so disgusting that people are rejoicing in our suffering while we're trapped here in the desert. Like, I'm rejoicing in your suffering, I admit it, but it's because you went there to be a hedonist.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
and burn the man while being the man.
I've been back and forth about that, because I was telling Brett earlier, I was like, I feel bad for whoever bought my tickets. I hope they're okay.
So someone did buy them after all.
Yeah, people did buy the tickets. Okay. And then I was like, it was a missed opportunity to give the tickets to possibly my enemies. But then I was like, I'm joking.
Like, I love the idea that you have enemies. That's my favorite part, is that you have enemies at all.
Ideological enemies.
How does a Sara have an enemy anyways?
Okay. In hindsight, obviously I'm joking, and like really truly, like I'm glad that nobody I know or like myself didn't end up there, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. But I get what you're saying in terms of like it is a little satisfying that these people kind of got not what they deserve, but a taste of reality. They got a reality check at Burning Man, and
I mean, hopefully some of them sense the irony in burning the man when the government agency had to go in and scoop you up.
I mean, yeah, and you have to stay in your $10,000 a week trailer to stay safe.
I don't know if I could say that I would ever enjoy anyone suffering.
Well,
that's a bit much.
That's not what that's definitely not what I'm saying.
Well, maybe they're not even suffering, because a lot of them are making videos like, "Hey, we're fine. We're just partying in the mud like normal." And look at the rainbow.
Then
double
I say,
rainbow.
Yeah, obviously, I do genuinely, like, in a way, feel bad for the people I sold my tickets to.
I want to play the other videos that we had of them coping.
Okay.
Hold please.
Reason to.
That was the other one from that same.
Most of y'all have probably sent in FEMA.
Okay, here we go.
So we're okay. I think that the news is saying that it's. So we're okay. I think that the news is saying that it's pretty bad out here. It is. There's mud. You can't really walk or drive. We have Wi-Fi for a moment, so I'm posting this. This is how Peggy and I look right now. Yep, no shoes, because it's really hard to walk with shoes.
I love that they also just don't have normal
like 5 inches,
to wear.
and then the mud became 5 inches, so I was kind of on stilts. But yeah, as part of this update, we are not allowed out of the playa. The gates are locked. We're
so they fenced them in?
That's what I don't get, though. Like, if they want to leave, why can't they?
But there's
Ebola.
a chance that Sunday is worse than it was yesterday.
That's my point.
All of our structures have fallen down, by the way. So yeah, we might not be able to leave till Tuesday or Wednesday. So
maybe some people are still there.
Yeah, thank goodness we have a mod van, so we're safe inside of that. Yep. Sorry about the plug. I know we're not supposed to talk about commercial things, but yeah.
The strike.
Oh my gosh. See,
life's in danger. Gotta mind the strike.
See, these are the annoying people I'm talking about.
They can't stop.
How would I not be happy that they're in this situation?
All right, sending love to you all. Stay safe, everyone.
I mean, to me, like,
and then this other guy.
What's gonna happen with these people is they will forget the struggling, and when it's done, they're gonna have great stories to tell about how they survived this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's another guy that made a coping
in the
TikTok.
same.
Yeah.
This one.
I haven't heard of that. And people.
Wait, what?
It's
okay.
I don't know where it is.
I work here on the playa, in the hospital.
Now I'm confused.
This one?
I'm hearing things, but I can't see things.
That one? The one that Elijah Schaefer posted?
Yeah, I think so.
Excuse me.
This one?
Is this a vibe? Everyone's just kind of standing awkwardly.
Is this after it got rained out?
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely still some drugs there. They're fine. They're fine.
But there was another video. There was another video there.
I didn't see it.
They're gonna have these stories of survival just because they lasted through like 3 inches of rain and some mud. Yeah. Maybe it's not as bad as the media is making it out to be.
No.
Not that one?
Well, I guess never mind.
Yeah. They'll have a story to tell.
I don't really understand why it was like deemed a national security though, and no one's really. I don't think.
Yeah, why? I want to know why
really
FEMA. I want to know why FEMA's there.
Brett, it was the one that Libby posted.
I have it here. Here we go.
We got 3/4 of an inch of rain.
Travel is impossible.
And there's about 70,000 people stranded on a barren lake bed.
Nothing.
But fortunately, burners are badass and brought all the supplies we need. Or most of us.
We got people who came by bus camped on the edge of the city.
They're in pop-up tents and at risk of getting hypothermia. But we don't need outside help. We're going to bind together,
get radically self-reliant, dry out the furniture,
and keep the party going. The alternative is to fall into despair, roll over, and die. And we all have a choice in how we're going to handle this. So everyone open up your Starlink satellites so people can communicate with their families. Make an expedition to the edge of the city with food and water. And don't fight anybody because we're all in this together. Bury those negative thoughts and gratitude for your life because a couple people didn't make it last night. And know that we're all going to clean up this mess and get out of here. This is the hand we were dealt this year, and together
there
we're
is
gonna
at
get through
least
it.
one death.
Okay, so the part about burying your I actually kind of like the part about the gratitude part, even though it's a little bit cheesy. But it's like at a certain point you have to accept your situation,
right,
and just survive.
Yeah.
Someone said it's a Starlink ad.
Yeah.
I can understand though it being a national emergency because of all the people in the tents.
Okay.
Because they, like he said, actually they are at risk of hypothermia and probably a lot of other things. So maybe that's
Trench
why.
foot.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened at it's not Woodstock, but there was like there was a documentary about it on Netflix about this huge concert they did in like the early 2000s or late 90s, and like Limp Bizkit was there. Wasn't
Woodstock, right?
Woodstock 99?
Yeah.
Was it? It may have been. And like people were pissed and they ran out of water.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people got sick because like fecal matter from the porta potties ended up getting into the water supply.
Okay.
So that's why I said earlier, I was like, I wonder if that is what's happening there. With
Woodstock 99 was like, oh, we're going to bring back Woodstock just like in the 60s. And then it just went horribly wrong.
Look, I mean, if people are saying there's nothing wrong there, then there's nothing wrong. But it is just, it's a scary situation for all involved if they're stranded.
So I guess he's saying that 2 people died, but I'm only seeing a report of 1 death being investigated.
Yeah. There's going to be some lawsuits.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people die. Like people die at festivals every year, all the time. There's always at least 1 death.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm sure by now they have like their liability, their butts covered as far as liability
insurance. Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't even get Travis Scott for Astroworld.
Yeah.
So it's going to end up a payout at the end. So
if Travis Scott can get away with that, then anything goes, pretty much.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Okay, 1,000 Foot Deep End said, y'all take yesterday off and expect us to make up for lost Super Chats? Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And yes.
Yeah, we're getting crisis parties for 2 shows today.
Yeah, that would be my hope.
That's just fair, in my opinion. Shane H. Wilder said, holiday was boring. I was stuck at home because my car got hit Saturday and I couldn't do anything with it until this morning. It sucks, but ish happens. I'm fine, so that's all that matters.
Well, did your car get hit by another car? Like the other day, I almost and I'm glad you're okay, man. But like I almost drilled the crap out of a deer the other day, like very close.
Yeah, that's
the deer around here are built different. They do not fear cars at all.
too much.
No.
Like it's like some of them are like little baby ones, and I'm like, please get out of my way.
They
Like,
don't
be in the
even
middle of the
move. They're
road.
so casual about it.
Yeah. So the I almost to me it's not like I'm gonna get hurt, but it's gonna be a financial headache because my car's gonna.
Remember
get
when
Right.
Ian told us his story of hitting a deer at like 70 miles per hour?
What?
Oh.
Well,
yeah.
I was just imagining him doing that with 1,000 Miles playing, and he's like has tears blurring his vision so he can't tell what he's about to hit. But he said that when that happened, he like sped up because you're supposed to speed up actually if you can't
At
get
that
out of the
point,
way.
It's you or that deer, and you better choose
and he
yourself,
said it like
man.
flew in the air.
He was
Like
very
the way.
He
He was
was
like,
very
"Stand by me."
descriptive. He was very descriptive.
Dude, my
about
friend
it.
But he said like we made eye contact in that moment. Like
he connected with
he
the deer.
felt, he
Yes.
was connected with its soul.
He was the deer.
And that day when the deer died, he lost a part of himself.
Yeah, it was old Ian.
Could have eaten the heart of it to really
To get
honor
really
its-
tribal and primitive.
I ended the poll, ladies and gentlemen. I said, was the chaos at Burning Man an act of God? 50% say yes.
Thank
you guys.
Wow, what
Thank you,
timing.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a sign.
Yes. Thank you so much, Zach.
It's party time.
And 35% say not sure, maybe, and
Take a stance.
13% say no. No.
Pick a side.
Well, a lot of people
Stand
get,
for something.
a lot of people get mad when I don't offer like a third option in the poll.
Yeah.
They want a third
Well, they're
option.
wrong.
Be someone.
Mason Hack said One Piece live action was surprisingly good. It was #1 in 84 countries, beating a record set by Stranger Things and Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm also seeing what's really funny is like now whenever a show does well, it immediately becomes propaganda for like, and they were only paid 0 cents in residuals. So now every successful show. So in fact, I'm gonna pose this question to you guys because I don't know where else this would come up. So I saw an article talking about how little like actors on Breaking Bad get on their residuals for Breaking Bad on Netflix, and I'm thinking like, Netflix doesn't own Breaking Bad. AMC owns Breaking Bad, right? Or FX, or I think it's AMC, but like owns Breaking Bad and then essentially leases it to Netflix to use. Is Netflix supposed to pay? That's like renting a movie and expecting someone to like the studio to pay residuals every time you rewatched the movie.
It should trickle down, right? So whatever percentage AMC makes should be being paid in residuals to the actors.
But then their complaint is that, but then if the show does really, really well, then they're not going to get more residuals. But if it does crappy, they'd be happy because...
But AMC gets the same amount of money from Netflix regardless of how well it does on the platform.
Yes.
So there's nothing to pay residuals out of.
Well, but they're saying that she's saying that like they should automatically like basically cordon off a piece of that money and pay it to the actors in residuals, which is just not ever going to be.
Do they get a set amount? Do we know?
I don't know.
I mean, when it was on network television, they did.
Because you can figure out how many ads were watched per episode and how much money it
Well,
made.
I mean, like for Netflix, like when Netflix leases a show, is it just a set amount or does it depend on how successful the show
they
is?
pay way more for a show that's more successful than a show that isn't. But it's just crazy. Like there's no way to figure all this stuff out. And while this is going on, the media is just going to hammer home the propaganda about how nobody's making anything. But
there are other ways than residuals that actors are paid for their work. Like Jenna Ortega is going to be an executive producer on this next season of Wednesday.
But then I also
for her
see
performance in
things-
the first season.
Yeah. But then, I mean, that happens on a lot of network television shows too. The star will become an executive producer in the forthcoming seasons. Or if you're a big enough star and you take a television role, oftentimes you start as a producer on it. But this is going to keep happening where I saw something the other day that they were talking about, I don't remember what the show was, but they're saying like, it cost $17 million an episode. I'm like, yeah. And you, the actor, paid none of that. The studio paid all of that. So they need to recoup their money. So, and I don't stand the studios. The studios suck too because they bend their knee to these people, but they're all awful and they deserve each other.
Well, they haven't bent the knee yet.
I think they'll have to eventually, sadly. I don't know what they're going to get out of it, but this can't go on forever. Like, at least the movie studios will eventually have to.
But the work that was done in the meantime to develop AI you can't reverse that.
And then they're just like super petty. Like,
That Stanzatastic said, have you heard the version of that song with Hank Hill singing it? It was done with AI, but it's a good mashup.
Ooh, I'm going to have
It's
to.
a Hank Hill
version
Richmond,
of Richmond, north of Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more and then we'll move on.
Oh my goodness, said, weird.
Weird. Well, you know what? Speaking of weird. Actually, that's not all that great of a segue. We're gonna talk about the fact that Jordan Peterson was on with Theo Vaughn, and he had an example that he gave when talking, and people are comparing it to a scene that Javier Bardem does in the movie Skyfall. And I love this because what I really like the idea of is that Jordan Peterson isn't reading medical journals. he's not doing, he's not reading Psychology Today. He's going around and watching James Bond movies, and that's where he's getting his information. But
this
really
is
what
like
this
how,
is the media just wants to smear him.
Melania Trump got hate for having speeches that were plagiarized from Michelle Obama, and I'm sure that Obama did the same thing with other presidents' speeches.
Didn't Vivek
but
do
it's
that with
the
Obama too?
Yeah. Like the speech writers are the ones plagiarizing. He would have no idea. And I've heard people repeat the Rat King theory before. It's not necessarily copied from the movie. But do you want to play it?
Yeah, we'll play. We might get copyrighted for this one, but if we do, I'll clip it out later. But we can show the.
It's a direct side by side, and it's not. He's not quoting it directly.
No,
it's
yeah,
not
not
like
at
he
all.
sat there in the mirror practicing it.
This is because the media wants to smear Jordan Peterson because they don't like Jordan
Right, he
Peterson.
can't do anything right. I mean,
not
Tim
a
talks
great-
about the rats in the bucket of water all the time.
Yeah.
The Rat Utopia.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Where's
Is this not it?
No, I gotta refresh. Dun, 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 dun. Is the internet slow? Please don't be slow. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
My mother showed me.
Oh,
Village is full of rats.
oh yeah.
Okay, so now you go catch 10 rats.
Okay.
You throw them in a pit.
Okay.
Soon, there is one rat.
So how do you get rats off an island? My grandmother showed me. We buried an oil drum and hinged the lid. Then we wired coconut to the lid as bait, and the rats would come for the coconut. And boing, 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 boing. They would fall into the drum. They start eating each other until there are only two left, the two survivors.
Then you take the remaining rat and you let him go. And soon there are no rats in the village.
And then what? Do you kill them?
This is such a reach from the
You take
media. I
them
love it.
and
They're just
release them
evil.
into the trees.
It's not even
And now they
close,
don't eat
actually.
coconut
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, that's the
No,
point.
they
The
only-
point is the media is reaching because they don't like Jordan Peterson.
Is this supposed to be like the gotcha of the century?
Yeah, no, it is. It's supposed to be a gotcha of the century because Jordan Peterson made a similar example that doesn't sound anything like the scene from the movie. But I do like the idea that Jordan Peterson like looks at a picture of Javier Bardem before he goes out to
He
do
actually
media
he
appearances.
kind of messed up the analogy.
Yeah.
But he also commented on Bill Maher's appearance on the Joe Rogan.
Maher?
Bill Maher?
Mar? I'm just.
I don't know.
I thought my brain was about to be melted. It's Mar, right?
Okay, I've heard
know.
both.
Okay.
Bill
I've
Maher.
actually been to his show once, though. I
Okay.
went to a live recording of his show with my family when we were in LA.
Oh, did you get to meet him?
Nah,
No,
we
okay.
didn't, but it was cool.
But yeah, he
went on
basically-
Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
and he made a very stunning and brave statement condemning medicalizing children,
Yeah.
which is very
Stunning, very brave.
revolutionary. I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
You want to play the video?
Yeah. All right. Oh, do I? I don't know if I have the.
It's in the Newsweek article.
There. No, I have the Theo Vaughn one. I don't have the. I don't have
Oh.
the one you're
I
talking
have
about
it.
here. Oh no, I got it
It's
here.
like the
Never mind.
the
I got it
orange
here.
and
Here we go.
orange and white.
Now this is just me, but I'm allowed my opinion. If I was 100 billion% convinced I was born in the wrong body, I still wouldn't do anything to my body because medical considerations come first. The idea that you can just take some sort of puberty blockers or just snap on, snap off organs?
Yeah.
Without really hurting myself medically and taking years off my life?
Right.
Is ridiculous. And so I would somehow make it work with the equipment I was born with, because we're just not that advanced medically to make it work and still be healthy.
Yeah.
I love that Joe Rogan is just sitting there and he's like, yeah. Have you ever tried DMT?
It's like so.
And
So
Jordan
anyways.
Peterson says it's controversial if you're a greedy, sadistic, psychopathic surgeon butcher or a cowardly, lying, ideologically possessed therapist enabler.
What do
There
you
is a
guys-
culture of obsession with therapy.
What do you guys make of Jordan Peterson's way of writing tweets in like haiku-esque prose? Like, what's the thought process behind that?
Doesn't do any like favors for himself in terms of looking cool.
Is it making him look
will say
uncool, in
that.
your opinion?
A little bit. He's,
Why?
you know, I think that he is a great role model, but I don't think like he makes himself.
It's artistic.
Yeah, no, I love him, But I think in terms of like cool points, it
the suits don't work. The drip on the suits isn't good enough for you. Doesn't do it for you.
He does have those pretty like. He's got style and he's well put together, and you know, I think he's awesome, but I won't say they make him look cool.
Yeah, I look, it's weird because he developed, like, he brings out a certain ire in the left that I find kind of fascinating, because I look at him as somebody they would love, like, if they agreed with him, if he agreed with them, they would love to use him as an example of like, here's a well put together critical thinker who agrees with us. You know, he's a doctor, this and that.
He's so nice.
And he's like that, but it's almost like because he's so nice most of the time, it makes them angrier.
They're even trying to insult his dashing two-toned suits.
Why would you do that? The suits are the best part.
It's a veritable serve. Yeah. Like, I would say if it weren't a serve, it is. Yeah. I mean, they look great.
Do you think Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson has a history like of classes where he dissects movies and talks about what it means psychologically and stuff like that. I always enjoyed those. Like he did the one about Sleeping Beauty and the one about, did you do Snow White? Or he did one about Sleeping Beauty, and all of them were really, really good and in depth.
Are they on YouTube?
Yeah.
I watched some of his like biblical lectures back when he was first like really blowing up. And I don't think that they resonate with Christians as much as non-Christians, really, because it's like more of a friendly entryway into like reading the Bible, is to think about it as like, what are the psychological insights and storytelling insights that we can find from this without actually engaging the Bible if we take it seriously. Like if we take what it says literally, like that's too much of a leap for a lot of people.
So like they see him as like a bridge between
maybe
how it's perceived by those who believe.
But I don't think the Bible can be properly read unless you let it take itself seriously and you interpret it as also historical accounts.
That's got to be like a very hard barrier of entry for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a plenty of people like
even for Jordan Peterson, who's still like no one can nail him down as like he's this, he's that. Like he identifies as this faith. Like no one can really pin him down anywhere.
But I'm somebody who's not religious, but you know, like sees a lot of like the good that religion has done. I mean, you know, on all sides, but like I've seen like what it does for people who do believe, and it's like you wish you had that, but there's just something about it's sad that like you can't really do it until you believe, but until you believe,
I almost see something more sinister in keeping the Bible in this like in these safe boundaries for people who don't want to engage with faith. Like, and I also wanted to talk about the Bill Maher comments because it's just I read things like this and it's also tiresome.
Chat, we good? Hold on one second.
Is the stream having issues?
We good, chat? I'm asking because it gave us no data for a second and then gave me box, and it was at 118, and that is not something I'm wishing to relive.
Not 118 again.
Yeah, not 118 again.
Oh, what is this 118?
So
there was a period of time where every day at exactly an hour and 18 minutes, the stream would go down.
Oh my gosh.
We lose.
And we found out that it was a computer issue. But if that happens again,
we're at an hour and 17.
But it's an hour and 18 on the OBS side, so we're good.
I think we're okay.
Cool.
Please not again.
Okay, back to.
But anyway, spinning wheel of death. Oh no, that was someone chatting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill Maher is only taking this stance when it's become culturally acceptable to oppose like kids transitioning. When it's like, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. There are other people who've been saying the same thing that got shouted down and tarred and feathered, and you didn't really feel like defending them a few years ago. But now that it's acceptable to go on Joe Rogan and say that like it's obvious, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I thought that the whole time. And then eventually when the cultural norm hopefully shifts to, seeing all of this as insane, and not just when it affects children but adults as well, then he's going to be like, oh yeah, I thought that the whole time.
Yeah,
like I hate that type of gaslighting.
A lot of them will come around and be like, because a lot of them, like,
It's cowardly.
What it is the ones who profess to agree with it in public but maybe disagree with it in private. What's happened is, like, in their brain, they're going to be like, well, I did disagree in my head, and they might even be able to convince themselves, that they didn't support it, even if all evidence, outward evidence proves to the contrary that they did. A lot of them will be able to, because it'll be more, it's less painful than having to pretend like you weren't against it the whole time.
Yeah, and they can be like, oh, well, I still, I disagree with it now, and other people don't feel the same way that I do and still agree with these things, but you still waited until it was safe for your career to speak out.
When it was
not when other
strategically
people,
beneficial.
Exactly. Not when other people spoke out and at least risked losing everything.
Yeah.
I was talking to Taylor Silverman about this earlier today, because she was commenting on this professional competitive longboarder who's a female. She spoke out in a social media post about how men are encroaching upon this sport, and that she basically said, in all other contexts except for sports, this shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. I mean, if it's a locker room, if it's a bathroom, if it's a changing room, blah, 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 trans women are women and they should be welcome in all these spaces, except when it affects me and my thing that I want to keep to myself. Now I'm going to oppose it because it's inconvenient now that this issue has personally affected my life.
Right.
And then she deletes the post a few hours later after people got mad at her online.
That's going to piss off both sides.
Yeah, exactly. You
There's
don't
a
win.
$20 one there from That's Dancetastic.
Since you are the closest channel for gaming culture, were you going to cover the heel versus babyface yelling stuff and getting talked about with Hassan? If you did already, I must have missed it. Also, Borax, so good.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it. What
is this?
So Az from Heel vs. Babyface, in the clip, he's setting up a character in the Starfield game in Starfield, and it asks him to pick pronouns, and he just goes on this rant, and it's really good. It's really good, and Hassan Piker basically said he should be lobotomized for seeing this way, and it's proof that conservatives are evil and all this stuff, and they made a really big deal about it. And look, I personally, I'm one of those people where I might have thought what he was saying, or been annoyed, but also I've kind of steeled myself that this is just the world we live in now. So when you go somewhere and you see people saying asking you to put your pronouns and stuff, I've just I roll my eyes and I move on with it. But it was a bridge too far for him, and it was annoying. And he goes off on this unbelievable rant, and it went super mega viral on Twitter.
Maybe we should talk about it.
So it's possible. that might even come up. Phil might want to talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, it was crazy, and
Hassan is the most wannabe edgy, because if you're a leftist streamer or whatever, you can't actually cross the bounds. You can't actually be offensive, so you just try really hard. You should be lobotomized. Oh, that's so edgy, bro.
But also,
come up with a new idea. It's too scary. You might get canceled.
Somebody pointed out, they're weren't you the guy who wanted to play Harry Potter, who wanted to play Hogwarts Legacy, but wouldn't because his fans would be upset with him? He did. They said that to Hassan Piker.
Did he admit that out loud?
I don't know. I'm assuming that person. Yeah, there's a $20 one there from Hayden75.
It is not when he was setting up the character. Context is that he was over 12 hours into the game, and it was the conglomeration of all the woke stuff in the game.
Okay. So, that's just going to keep happening. That's going to keep happening in games. It's going to keep happening in movies and television. I tend to find that with movies, I'm almost the opposite. It's when the movie bombards you at the beginning of it that it bothers me, because what it always feels like now is they try to get it out of the way early on. When we went and watched, or no, you didn't go to Transformers: Rise of the Beast. There's that stuff in the beginning, the line about the guy talking about capitalism in New York in the 90s, and I'm just frustrated. I'm annoyed, and this is all in the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then for the rest of the movie, there's almost none of that stuff, but it ruins your mood for the rest of it.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I agree. It's
At
just like
least
right off the
in
bat.
Barbie, they waited until the onslaught was in the third act.
Well, I mean, it's all over in Barbie. It's you like Barbie. It's the price of admission. Is the thing is we were going into it knowing that was going to happen. So if I go into it knowing that it's going to be there, it's a little bit different. Like most of the time when I go into a movie expecting a lot of it, I end up less angry because it ends up being less bad than I make out in my head like it's going to be.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. It's when you're caught off guard that you're like, oh.
Yeah. So it's it was.
And
in the chat, Rick C says, "Stop giving them your money, Brett." Well, we review the stuff on the channel, bro. It's part of the job. It's part of the job. So and that was one movie where it ruined it for me. A lot of the times, I'm more forgiving than a lot of people with that stuff.
Yeah, I wish the whole not giving your money thing worked, but there's still millions of people that will give money to these.
Boycotting Target is never going to put a dent in Target's bottom line, like ever.
It's that one customer that's
I don't
like,
know if
I'm
anyone
taking
thought
my business
that.
elsewhere.
You can do that for your own peace of mind if you need to.
Yeah,
But just don't have any delusion that Target is going to hurt from losing your business.
I should go check out. I should go check out more of Az. I haven't watched Az's stuff in years. Like the thing is, like now that like this is like work, I don't watch a lot of the content anymore because it's like they're talking about a lot of the same things we are, and like after work, I'm just kind of over a lot of
your
it. So,
social meter runs out.
yeah, when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, like with that game, he was a bridge too far apparently, and it was too much for him, and he hated it. So the speech is. I wonder if I could just pull it up now. And I saw that they were talking about it on Bounding into Comics.
It's like we're so desensitized to seeing a man just be broken.
Yeah. Here it is.
Society.
I just want to say something to you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Fuck that.
Snap.
Bethesda. There is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG. Lose myself, think, oh my god, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
Whoa.
Look,
I don't disagree.
He's not wrong. One of the things I watch a lot of older movies, right? But like recently, I over the weekend I rewatched the John Wick movies. Look, you go into that movie and you enter a completely different world, right? Ruby Rose's character in the second one is androgynous and she plays a mute, okay? But somehow, through the skill of the director, through the skill of the writing, you don't ever feel like you're in. Granted, this was, I don't remember what year John Wick 2 probably came out in 2018.
Maybe in 2018 you could say a mute, but today you need to say a non-speaking person.
I'm not doing that. So, the point is, like, it can be done. It can be done well. 99.99999 times out of 100, it's not. He's right. Like, they're going to drag you out of it.
Yeah.
They're going to ruin it for you. Somebody else, they were arguing about like what makes the Batman woke or not woke, right? The new one that came out. And somebody's like they were mad that all the villains were good guys, or all the villains were white guys. Right? So then somebody's like, well, all of Batman's rogues gallery's been white before anyway, so what's the problem? I said, that's not the problem. The problem is they only race swapped the good guys, but left the bad guys as white, which is a red flag right off the bat that there's ideological means behind what they're doing.
They've race swapped villains, right?
But I'm saying, but this is 2021 this movie came out. And the point is that you took the time to race swap Gordon, but you left all, like, it reeks of agenda, and they can't escape it. Let's finish what else he has said.
We can't see past our own fucking reflection. That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Fuck your immersion. Fuck you having a good time. Fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no. Current fucking day. Fuck off. You're boring. You're fucking dull. You have nothing to say. You are a one-hived mind twat waffle.
Only in that
That's all
accent.
you fucking are. And you wonder why people are getting so fucking sick and tired. You take everything we love, all our immersions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit, fucking crap ideology into everything, every single solitary fucking thing.
Yep.
Is there more?
The thing is, the way look.
So it was more than the pronouns, right?
Yes.
Like
I
there's
mean,
other
yeah.
stuff.
So, but the thing is, like, the internet has made it so that people are like, back in the day, if you were a writer for a movie or a television show, well, you check the news like at the end of the day and maybe you read the newspaper. Now you're shoveled news down your throat 24/7 from your phone, whether it's Instagram through infographics, whether it's Twix, where you get constant biased news from both sides. And it ends up infecting your writing. So it's the social ideology that comes from the universities where all of these people have been trained. They all come from that world and they all only write what they know. It's why no cop on television ever actually feels like a cop. It feels like a Los Angeles person playing a cop. It's why do you ever watch a movie and actually feel like that actually feels like what that person would be like in the real world? It's why people hate that people just end up. Why do people end up in life-threatening situations and respond with snark? That's not how the world actually works. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's infected all levels of the media, whether we're talking like the examples I was giving you with movies and television, and they're in a bubble. And the internet has made that bubble worse. But most of us are, in a lot of ways, our own bubble of sorts. The difference is they're writing for things that are not them. When we come on here and we talk about whatever we're talking about, we're giving you our opinions. Do we live in our own bubble? Sure, probably a little bit. I kind of live in this world where I'm always wondering, like, is that the truth, or is this just what my reality has deemed it to be because of where I get my news, how I interpret the world? Fine. But for them, they're not writing for we're talking about ourselves. We're talking about our opinions on things, so it's naturally going to be biased. They're writing for stories that have a grander scale and more importance than that, but they're not giving it the grace and the honor of the importance it deserves. They're just writing it within the context of their own worldview, and it is boring. It is lame. It does scream of a lack of creativity. He's not wrong.
Because like school teachers, I think the writers think, I'm in a position of authority here that I can use to influence people.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. That's why both of those professions, school teachers and screenwriters, have gone full woke. It's because they're in a special position to infect society with their ideology.
I think they think they're being revolutionary. Like they're adding to some kind of a revolution where they are slowly infiltrating pop culture by constantly asserting things that they deem controversial but are really not, and are controversial, yes, but not in the ways that they think they are.
I love going through and watching old movies and television and just seeing just how, like, Hollywood's always been liberal, right? But there was America had such a neoconservative bend back in the day that it worked as like a bulwark against the insanity. So it's like you go and watch these movies. I love whether we're talking war movies from anything about the Iraq War or Afghanistan, like Hollywood wants to sympathize with Iraq and Afghanistan. They do. But neoconservative America at the time, they're like, NASCAR dads aren't going to buy this. So somehow they ended up back in the middle by finding ways to humanize the characters that were portrayed as the bad guys. And that actually works because it makes the story more interesting. Now, because America is heavily leftist or liberal, and nobody gives any attention to the other 50%. They in the news isn't backing them up. Back in the day, you watch these things. At least the news was on America's side back then. They're not anymore. Not in a long time, right? So now all of that that shield against the rampant one-sidedness is gone, and what you get left is nothing but an echo chamber rather than detailed stories that give interesting characters. Like, I think back to actors, like think about all of the actors who are either Muslim or from the Middle East who had to play terrorists for like 15 years. Yeah. Right? They had to go into it and say, I need to find something interesting about this character, because it's I don't want this to be a one-sided explanation of my belief system. I don't want this to make me look like a cartoon character. So the good ones would have taken roles where it's like, I'm not just a cartoon villain. I have unique beliefs. I have unique goals and interests. I have to portray this character in a way that's interesting because it's what I need to do for this character. They don't do that anymore. Now the white guys just come in and say, I will play evil white guy who is ridiculous and over the top, because they're full of hatred for themselves.
Do you think they know it?
I think that they see themselves as I think that the most of the actors see it as like, look, this is a person who I'm not anything like, and I'm exploring this character. But I think when they were exploring characters before, they did more care to make the characters more interesting because Hollywood naturally empathized with them. They don't empathize with the bad guys that they create now. They just want them to be cartoon villains because they see them that way. I don't think Hollywood always saw them as the villains before. It's just what society dictated them to be.
I thought that you had a problem with all the villains being a gray area now.
They're portrayed as complex, but not necessarily innocent. They're portrayed as complex, but it doesn't mean that their actions are portrayed as justified.
Well, I thought that what you wanted was for there to be clear good guys and clear bad guys.
I mean, like if we're talking Marvel movies, yes, because they're cartoonish and they're not meant to be super deep.
But if it's set in real life,
if it's set in the real world, then yeah, your characters need to have shades of gray in a lot of ways.
Make me kind of feel bad that the bad guy died. Like, I feel like that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Right? Like, I mean, one of the like, if you want to use Harry Potter as an example, Snape is set up as like an unbelievable asshole the whole series, and then they redeem. If they
He's still lovable.
They don't even redeem only to you. But they don't redeem him. I mean, they redeem him in the end. And they explain why he is the way he is. There's none of that anymore. There's none of that. So when I'm even going into my own tangent here that's off to the side of what he's talking about. You know, whether we're talking about racially, gender ambiguous characters everywhere because everyone's afraid of upsetting someone. It is boring. It's unbelievably boring. But it's the world we live in now because they're in charge. So you're gonna have to rely on the Daily Wire. I guess it's Daily Wire movies and old stuff
and pop culture crisis.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Isaac Martinez said, "Speaking of Venice Film Festival, any films you want to see from Venice? Can't wait for Priscilla, Ferrari, and El Conde. I don't know how to say that.
I do want to see Ferrari, the Michael Mann movie.
I'm definitely going to see Priscilla. Shane H. Wilder said, don't watch the new Sabrina, Mary. As a fellow Catholic, I can tell you that it gave me the ick after a few episodes. I wasn't planning on it. Have you seen it?
I only saw the first season, maybe the second one, and I liked it. But I have not kept up with that show at all.
Okay. Disco Jensen said, I would give more, but Bidenomics ran my pockets.
Yeah, man.
That's
it's understandable.
okay.
It's understandable. Share this podcast with your friends. That's the other way you can help, is by sharing this out and getting more people to come in and hang out. Let's do one more and then let's move on.
We got two from Kai. Unpopular opinion. No such thing as an act of God. Incorrect, Kai. Pumpkin pie, yes. Pumpkin spice is terrible. Doesn't pumpkin pie have pumpkin spice?
No, pumpkin pie is not good unless it has a ton of whipped cream on it.
I don't like pumpkin pie, though.
It's too plain.
I don't like many pumpkin things.
Yeah.
In general.
Except you liked my pumpkin muffins I made
Those
last
are good.
year.
Pumpkin muffins and like pumpkin bread. That's good.
Yes.
Everything else, not so much.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back. Let's talk about Woody Allen, shall we?
So Woody Allen recently premiered a movie. I'm going to mispronounce this. It's Coup Chance at the Venice Film Festival. And it did get a standing ovation, but it also got protests because activists at Venice, they're scandalized by what Woody Allen has done in the past. And if you guys don't know, I'm going to reiterate it. Basically, he eventually married his stepdaughter, who he had known while she was a child. They got together when she was about 21. It was his stepdaughter when he was with Mia Farrow,
who she's and that daughter is from her marriage before him. I had to like literally look this. It says he dated Mia Farrow from 80 to 92. They adopted 2 children, Moses Farrow and Dylan Sullivan Farrow, born in 78 and 85 respectively, and had 1 son, Ronan Farrow. Mia Farrow became Allen's mother-in-law when he married Suni Previn, the adoptive daughter of Farrow and second husband Andre Previn, who they was like 7 years old. In 2013, Mia sensationally claimed that Ronan may possibly be the biological offspring of her first husband, Frank Sinatra, rather than from Allen. The whole family requires a flow chart to understand. I think they said Mia Farrow has 14 kids.
They already weren't together anymore. Woody Allen and Mia Farrow already split by the time that he ended up with his, I guess now former stepdaughter. And he is neither of them are blood related to her because she was adopted, but
he fell out. He fell out with all of them.
The fact that you even have to say that, though.
It's weird.
I mean, obviously she was an adult when they got together, but he knew her since she was a child. That's just unequivocally weird.
He reconciled with Moses. Dylan essentially said, Ronan basically said he has a problem having a consistent relationship with somebody who's both his dad and his brother.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Isn't that like what Elon Musk's dad did? Didn't he do something similar where he ended up having a child with his former stepdaughter?
He did?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So he pulled a Woody Allen?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yep. And him and Mia Farrow never married. They dated from 80 to 92.
Oh, okay, I get it. They're married.
And he adopted Moses and Dylan. He's reconciled with Moses. Dylan, obviously, Dylan is the one he's accused of R-wording. It's a mess. It's gross.
A lot of people have said he's creepy. Didn't Scarlett Johansson say that working with him on that one film, I can't remember the name of right now, that he was kind of like that old school creepy of
old school Hollywood creepy.
Yeah,
According to social media posts, the protesters removed their shirts, big surprise there, and handed out sheets of paper encouraging the festival to turn the spotlight off of R-wordists. This year, the Venice Film Festival has decided to give space to Woody Allen, Luc Besson, and Roman Polanski, 3 directors involved in sexual violence against women, including minors.
Luc Besson, I think that those charges were dropped. I don't know anything about that.
Roman Polanski, though, that happened.
Yeah.
And it was so weird when he took a picture with his victim, and she's, now in middle age, and they're smiling together like everything's okay. But I mean, a lot of people were trying to excuse him of what he did after that photo came out because they're like, see, she's not mad at him. And I'm sorry, but like the feeling that in this case, child victim has toward their abuser in no way dictates how we should treat their abuser.
Nope.
Absolutely.
And if you have any knowledge of like the psychology of how things like that work, like the dynamics work there, then you would know that already.
And just remember, I mean, it was.
And if she forgives him, that's her business. But I don't have to think that that's like cool.
Yeah.
Right. That's for her. It doesn't make the whole entire situation of what he did cool.
It's also crazy how like all of these actors, whether it's Kevin Spacey, whether it's Woody Allen as director, they all kind of have their own, like they can keep working. It's just overseas. Like,
because Europeans, that's part of their culture already anyway.
But like
they don't have boundaries about any sexual
but not when it comes
behavior.
to Kanye, apparently.
But
right?
Draw the line there.
Sounds racist.
Yeah, definitely.
But
anti-American.
It's just it's crazy that this is like he got a 2.5 minute standing ovation, which by
2.5 minutes is actually not that much.
No, but judging by
looking at
self-obsessed narcissists in Hollywood who love to give each other long standing ovations,
like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
they go like
so.
it's crazy. Also, another actor got arrested at the Venice Film Festival. His name is Gabriel Govera, on a sexual assault charge. So I guess they're really cracking down on the misconduct that goes on at these film festivals. I'm sure there are plenty of people attending the Venice Film Festival that shouldn't be there. Yeah. The arts in general attract sexual perverts. They attract sex perverts and weirdos. Some of whom make some of the best artists, weirdly enough.
My friend who was trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood for a while ended up he left because he was like, I just had to basically pretend to like be okay with getting hit on constantly by gay men if I wanted to get anywhere.
Bruh. Yeah.
And like pretend to be.
That's also like
into it.
Kind of part of gay culture in general is just like there are no boundaries for anything.
Yeah. Even if you're straight.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, that makes it like they would like hit on a straight guy more.
Yeah. Well, it's like the hard to get.
Despite it being unwanted. Yeah. And an unwanted advance.
But this is part of the problem with like the news cycle now is like all this stuff comes out and you essentially have to pick a side right away. They make you pick a side right away. And if you say like, look, I don't know what happened. Is there security footage of them doing this? I have no idea. But it's like you kind of have to you're forced to have an opinion now on all of these things, which back in the day you would have heard about it in the initial breaking of the story, and then maybe if they went to trial and there was a verdict. But now, like, these directors are like, he's out here working right now, and this is like they have to decide, like, is the prestige of being a Woody Allen movie enough to dictate doing this film when they know how people feel about them? They're coming to Kevin Spacey. They're like, look, we're just waiting to see how this trial goes, and then we'll go. And people have different, like a lot of people be like, look, in the eyes of the law, they're like, look, he was never found guilty. So
or they're like, he was always nice to me.
And it's like, I'm going to be annoying here and say like, I make no opinion of it because like, I'm not going to watch any Kevin Spacey.
I mean, I would rather.
But that's just because I'm not like, I don't see him making any American movies anymore. But it's like, if without knowing, I don't know what you're supposed to do anymore. Right. I just know that what they're accused of is horrific and awful, but I can't know.
Well, with Kevin Spacey, he did apologize for one of the allegations, which makes it, kind of undeniable that it happened. But when it comes to Hollywood and the film world and art world in general, I am more erring on the side of just painting them all with a broad brush and saying they're all weirdos, they're all perverts, they all lack a moral compass, and if they pretend to stand against any of this culture of abuse or whatever, it's just to look good in the media. They don't actually care. And they were all the ones who were complicit in Harvey Weinstein's, behavior in the 90s and the 2000s anyway. So who cares? Like they're probably overlooking other Harvey Weinstein's behaviors now. Yeah. Like whoever took his place. Because I'm sure there's a whole crop of other film executives that are doing the exact same thing or worse. Yeah. Still. And they're never to be seen. Never to be exposed or brought to justice for what they're doing.
Yeah, if you want to make it, you're not going to be speaking out on those things because then you're just going to get kicked out.
Yeah. So another thing, speaking of weird sex perverts at the Venice Film Festival.
Speaking of.
Emma Stone starred in a movie that was premiered at the film festival called Poor Things. And it had many graphic sex scenes. And it got an 8-minute long standing ovation. And I looked into this movie, and here's what someone on Twitter had to say. The new movie, Poor Things, is a hit at Venice Film Festival. Here is the movie plot. A pregnant Emma Stone tries to K herself and is saved by a modern-day Dr. Frankenstein. He saves her by transplanting the brain of her unborn baby into her skull. With the body of an adult and the brain of a newborn, she does what all newborns do. She becomes a nymphomaniac and prostitute, of course. There are graphic sex scenes between Emma Stone playing a baby who can barely talk or walk, and Mark Ruffalo, the Call Me Disney star. I forget. Can newborns consent to sex? If they're smoking hot babes, they can. The movie is marketed as a comedy. And how dare you think this sounds like a thinly veiled PDF file porn? You Philistine, this is high art. Ugh. That's always the argument, right? Yeah. Is if you don't think this is, artistic,
you don't get it.
You clearly are uncultured, and you don't fit in with our exclusive crowd of people who do get it.
Yeah, who like to spirit
We think
cook.
it's hilarious. We even think that it's hot. And you're supposed to think like these are the elites that truly understand art, and we're the hicks from middle America who don't understand.
you just don't get it.
Yeah, if you don't like it, it means you don't get it.
There's nothing to get here. This is what I'm saying with The Idol, with Euphoria. Like, those are more mainstream choices that, like, people are watching. Less people are going to see this movie. Or Cuties, for example. Yeah. Like, it's all, like, marketed the same way. Is like, oh, you're just a prude if you don't think that this is acceptable, and this shouldn't be in the public sphere.
Did you watch the trailer of it too? Because I watched the trailer.
There's a trailer for Poor Things?
Yeah. And
I did not.
In it, Emma Stone can barely talk. She's like goo goo gaga-ing. She can barely walk. She's learning how to do these things all while working as I think they said as a prostitute, correct? Yeah.
Hollywood's gonna Hollywood. And this stuff
An 8-minute standing ovation. We support this. Yeah. This is what we think is normal.
Yeah.
Like, when does it end? Like, this is why I'm saying, like, let's bring back obscenity laws. Let's throw these people in jail.
Yeah. That's
How
the
is
point
this
I'm at.
okay?
Yeah.
How is this okay?
Or maybe they could just use it as probable cause to search some hard drives.
Please, yeah. like if anything.
Maybe don't throw them in jail, but at least, a cause for concern to go and look deeper, perhaps. But, you're, like I said, we're just hicks. We don't get it.
The director said, it was very important for me not to make a film that would be prudish, because that would be completely betraying the main character. We had to be confident Emma Stone had to have no shame about her body, about nudity, engaging in those scenes, and she understood that right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
is
Emma Stone no boundaries at all?
Is she mid, or is she considered like a really Hollywood hottie?
She was
in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. When she did like normal comedies.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I never was a fan of hers, truly. Like, the best movie she ever did was Superbad, in my opinion.
She wasn't the best part of any of those movies.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like,
I watched Easy A and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, I know that movie sucked. She was in that one movie with Ryan Gosling.
She also just plays Emma Stone and everything.
Yes, she's just that quirky Emma Stone.
She's like, you know what? I'm going to stop getting typecasted. I'm going to stop playing Emma Stone in every movie I'm in. I'm going to play a newborn baby prostitute. What? Like, you had more range than that, right? Yeah. Like, there were certainly, steps you could have taken, right? You had more acting range than just goo goo gaga, I'm a prostitute.
Yeah, and tons of sex scenes and
like, I'm not. I don't really get it.
It is interesting.
This is gonna launch her into legend status, I think, in Hollywood.
It is interesting what they consider prudish now and what they don't consider prudish, like, considering the way things are.
Remember when artsy films were like Eraserhead and Blue Velvet?
Yes. Yeah, it's just
it didn't have to be.
This is what passes as art now.
Yeah.
But nobody protested this film.
It's borderline CP. And nobody protested. They're protesting Woody Allen, which, I mean, I get it. I get why you'd be upset by that too. But
yeah.
Because the subliminal messaging is that if you were a child in an adult's body, that's what you would want to do, is you would become an nymphomaniac.
What?
That's the logical explanation they're coming up with, which is at the core of queer theory, by the way.
Really? That doesn't make any sense.
It was at the core of queer theories that age of consent shouldn't exist and that children and adults can engage in sexual relationships. And it's actually beneficial for children and for babies even to engage in this behavior. that was at the core of queer theory. Everything that's been built outside of that, it's all on that foundation, which is that anything goes.
And that's how they push the public towards it, is with movies and art. Is that's how
So
they
no
slowly...
wonder we've ended up here.
Yep. All right.
We've debunked it.
Let's look here. Shane H. Wilder said, for not wanting to be called a lady, she sure cries like a girl. LOL, no offense to the ladies in the room. Yeah, she certainly looks like a lady. It is confusing.
Right.
I would have mistaken her for one at first as well.
Maybe the bartender I was thinking thought that she was a boy, like trying to pass as a girl. Thought this was like a huge compliment.
Like, yes, ma'am. I will get that ready for you right away, ma'am.
Tips the cap. Ma'am.
You can't do it right anymore. Disco Jensen said, we need Batman reopen Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I'd be completely...
Put that they them in there first. I finished the Dark Knight trilogy over the weekend.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Weekend. Actually, no. I fell asleep in the middle of Dark Knight Rises. I'm going to finish it, but I get the gist.
Is that the one with Heath Ledger?
The second
Dark
one
Knight
is
the Dark Knight.
Ledger.
Okay.
Dark Knight Rises is the one with Bane.
Is it just me, or is Joker like not actually in the Dark Knight that much?
He's in a good amount. He is.
Is that it? I think.
I also feel
maybe
like
he's not.
These movies have been memed so heavily that I can't take a lot of it seriously that is meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah, the memes didn't exist when they came out
Yeah.
in 2008.
So now it's like you can't really take back that you've seen all the memes.
It's very hard to explain just what the environment was when people went to see that movie, knowing that Heath Ledger had died just recently, and a lot of people had assumed
The Dark
that,
Knight?
Yes. And what happened
So he
is,
died before the movie came out.
Yes, he did. So what happened is a lot of people, the prevailing rumor was like he got so deeply into the role psychologically that it kind of drove him nuts, and that led to his overdose. Now that was never true. He always had sleeping problems, and drugs contraindicating is not a good thing. But it added to the myth and the legend of the film in a way, on top of the fact that it's just an unbelievably good performance.
And he was on pace to be like the next Brad Pitt.
He was. He was in, he'd, like people are like, he can't, they even did the thing where like, he can't do that role. He was in A Knight's Tale. How are we going to have him? Like, he also 10 Things I Hate About You, which is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a classic.
But one of my hottest takes is that I still like Batman Begins more than The Dark Knight. I do.
Do you like Scarecrow more than Joker?
The Joker's a better performance.
I'm like not able to watch a movie without asking the dumbest questions about it. Like, where did Scarecrow go? Is he alive? Like,
is he gonna come back?
Well, he does. Yes, because he shows back up in the third one. Because he shows back. Yes, he shows back up in The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, I guess I didn't get to that part yet.
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
I also, I mean, like, I always.
But was he like locked up, or like he got too high off the juice? He got too juiced up.
He got too juiced up with the. Hey, that scene was great when he hits him with the actual fear toxin.
Oh, yeah.
And then Batman basically turns into like
He's like got the purple foam coming out of his mouth. I watched that in IMAX 3D. I'll never forget. That was wild.
The foam is just flying at you.
It's just I love the
not 3D. IMAX.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it was. It wasn't 3D. I wish.
I just and I love Liam Neeson is the unsung hero of that series, playing Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. It's just it's so good, right?
So well done.
I remember they were saying like they wanted to get Nolan back, or like they even talked about maybe Christian Bale coming back in The Flash. I'm like, don't do it. Leave it alone. The Dark Knight Rises isn't that good. The Dark Knight Rises is an average movie.
Yeah. Really?
I agree.
But those first two are so good. There's no reason to
It's
ruin
interesting
it.
to see Anne Hathaway in a sort of like coquettish sexualized role, because she has such a chaste image in Hollywood.
Yeah. She's
like a chaste starlet.
Well, with leather like that, yeah, you're gonna be. It's great though. It's really.
She looks exactly the same still
No.
to this day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's also the trailer for the Dark Knight Rises, or for the Dark Knight though, is really, really good. The original trailer that came out for the Dark Knight, where they wait to reveal the Joker's face till about the midway point of the trailer, is so good. And like I said, you have to remember that the previous iterations of the Joker just weren't that Nicholson it had been years and years since, it's been almost 20 years since Nicholson, because 89, so it came out in 2008, so it's been 19 years.
I never saw that one.
What did you think of the recasting of Rachel?
That was fun. There's nothing they could do.
Why did they do that?
She turned it down.
Why? Why did she turn it down? Does she regret that now?
I mean, it's Katie Holmes. She's got plenty
Was she
of
with
money,
Tom
but
Cruise at the time?
I think Tom
Cruise was like, you can't take that role.
Yeah, he's like, they won't let me play Batman.
He's like, they didn't give me the role, so you can't be in this.
But really, it's because Christian Bale was just too handsome.
I do
She's
love,
like,
however, like
insecure.
in the honest trailer for the sequel, or for The Dark Knight, when they go through the cast members and they call her Cabbage Patch Kid, because
that's me.
She does.
Maggie Gyllenhaal?
She does kind of.
Yeah, I feel like they're like,
it's
who
a little bit like
that's just as mid as Kate Holmes, and they found Maggie Gyllenhaal.
But also, it's like, it's really funny at the end of The Dark Knight when she like basically says like, I like you too, and she's like, but you're Batman, so I can't be with you, so that sucks.
Dude, that makes me think of the Spider-Man video.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So
Harvey Dent was such an incel.
You think so? He's like, because he's
But where do all these memes come from that, like, I know this is like the internet taking things that like totally out of context, but like Joker is an incel and Batman is a Giga Chad. Like, have you seen?
Well, Batman's forward persona is that of a Giga Chad. If anything, Batman is a self-imposed incel.
Yeah.
Until the Bat family comes. I mean, and
where he's
comics,
more of a Sigma
in
male.
In the comics,
the guy who inherited his dad's.
He's a Sigma male.
Yeah,
in
like
the comics, he's not. But in the movies, he's always like.
We spent way too much time on this.
All right.
Let's keep going.
Tangent.
Kai said to my favorite cougar. And then said, FEMA, what a bad joke. And then said, I have some bleach, don't make me use it. I don't know what any of that means. Okay.
Off the rails.
Rascal King said, the Rascal King was involved in a potentially life-threatening and life-ending accident last week, but by the grace and all of his luck, he was released from the hospital with cuts and bruises. Hug your loved ones and buckle up.
Glad you're okay, man.
Yeah.
He was in a collision with Shane H. Wilder.
My other favorite meme series, I'm sorry not to go back to the Batman ones, is the ones where it's like stealing a loaf of bread in Gotham, and he just beats the crap out of whoever's it. But my favorite one that I saw recently.
But he wouldn't have done that. Like, I don't understand.
I know. It's not accurate.
The whole movie is just like rich people bad, poor people good.
My favorite one though is one where like he's like a guy's like parked in like a handicap spot, and he's like, "Are you handicapped?" and like Batman's there, and he's like, "Are you handicapped?" And the guy gets in, he's got a wheelchair. He pulls a wheelchair out, so he's very clearly handicapped. And Batman goes, "Oh," and then he looks down, and the car's parked just a little bit over the line, and he just knocks the dude out, and then picks up his wheelchair and beats him with it. He's double parked in the handicap spot, even though he is handicapped. Can't
do that with any superhero? Like, is there a reason it's Batman?
It's just because that's the trope, right? Is that like the other one? It's like Batman be like this, and like it's a criminal. His arms are all broken, his teeth are all missing, and he's knocked down. And says talk, like because he's got to get the criminals to talk, right?
I really don't like the superhero trope of not like principally not killing anyone.
Yeah. Well, it made less.
Yeah.
Like, they pointed out, like in
like I understand it makes for better plots.
Actually, okay, so I've actually had a thought about this. One thing that I've realized is Hollywood has taken this approach where it's like if they don't show the death didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Grandma in Blue Beetle pulls out a 50 cal and starts mowing people down with a smile on her face, are you supposed to just assume that none of those? Are you supposed to just assume that none of those people died?
Yeah.
Right?
She just shot them all in the shin.
Yeah. And they all go, ow. And
there was an EMT nearby.
They limp away back to their lair.
But the thing is like when you watch, like you go watch the chase scenes in The Dark Knight with the tumbler, somebody died.
Yeah.
Somebody died.
That's what.
All of those cops did not survive those spins. Somebody died.
That's what always bothered me about superhero movies is all the death and destruction. Like in the Spider-Man movies, they're like, I have to save Mary Jane. And meanwhile, all these people in these buildings are just
not important.
like,
they're not important.
Yeah, they don't count. That's why I do love The Matrix so much though, is because even though the cops die and people are killed, they're all like technically like part of the Matrix. And so
yeah.
I mean, I guess it's still the same thing, but it's just like one step removed.
So I was watching, I actually rewatched, because I said I rewatched John Wick over the weekend and realized that the first one, I've been complaining a lot recently about how Hollywood does this annoying trope where everything is blue and yellow. All the movies are tinged with blue and yellow. Those are the color palettes that almost all of Hollywood has now. And The Matrix didn't have that. The original Matrix didn't have that. It had that great green and dark tone. And then they got rid of it in the new one.
I like the green tint in the original Twilight movie.
There you go.
They also got rid of.
That's where they went wrong.
But then they also, like the original John Wick had that green tint in a lot of places. And then as the movies went on, it went with what they call bisexual lighting for a lot of the movie. But it works really, really well in John Wick because the movie is so stylized.
John Wick bisexual?
Yeah. Well, then that his wife Helen. Also, I also love how they named his wife Helen because it's just the most like old lady name.
It's like, supposed to be like a callback to Helen of Troy.
It's and it's like he's married to Bridget Monahan in the movie. That's the actress who plays her. She's like a 30. She's in her 30s when the movie came out in 2014, and it's just like she's Helen. I'm surprised they didn't name her Esther. Or
Esther is a cool name. Old lady names are cool. No one can tell me otherwise.
They're coming back now.
But it just felt like they did it in the movie to make it like her seem even more pure.
Right, of course.
Like,
her name's like Rose or Helen.
If he kills, if her name's Anastasia, like they're gonna be like, she deserved to die. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, she got a stripper name. I don't know. Like,
Her name was Candy.
Yeah. But if Helen dies, that's sad. That's sad.
Okay. Kai said investigated like Biden. Another bad joke. Your jokes must be really bad because I don't get any of them.
Well, Biden doesn't get investigated. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The Republicans are awful. They investigate and then don't do anything.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he means. Shane H. Wilder said, I got hit by another car while I was parked.
Damn.
Oh, that's the worst.
That sucks. That's awful.
Scary.
I'm surprised he's like in a cart thrown by Mary just outside the store. Just hit my car door and it was all bad from there.
Kai said party time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the party. Dash 14.
I think that was from the first part that he said that, and then it just so happened.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you, my friend.
Dude, that's the second time the crisis party timing was like uncanny.
Yeah.
Spot on.
First it was a sign from God, and then this.
That was a sign from the other guy.
Dash Fortune said, last time I went to Burning Man was 23 years ago. There's an
Nice.
ongoing joke. Burners quote, it was better last year. This just proves the saying true.
Just gets worse and worse.
So what's going to happen next year? Like a tornado is going to hit and a hurricane at the same time.
There should be a no
and Godzilla will attack.
There should be a no smartphone policy at Burning Man. I feel like it's antithetical to Burning Man to have people making TikToks and stuff.
I agree. Like they either need to take it back to its roots or just start a new festival.
Disco Jensen in the chat mentioned Phineas Gage. That's the guy who got the railroad spike in his head, right?
Oh yeah.
He split his personality and he became like a completely different person.
They had to leave it in there.
Yeah, or something like that.
I don't know. Latveria said episode 442 Oldsmobile fans rejoice.
Is that a model of Oldsmobile? I had a friend who's okay. This is a great story about living in the suburbs. Like, first of all, I'm not from a wealthy family. My dad worked for the government. Don't worry, I'm not a Fed.
My dad worked for the government too.
We're not Feds, we promise.
What's going on?
My dad has been long since retired, but I just remember.
Oh, same.
That I remember I had a friend whose dad, he like owned a Buick dealership, and like people would like give him crap because he'd get like new Buicks, but it's like it's a new like he got new cars, like but they'd be like, oh, he's driving a Buick, and I'm like, that is something only an 18-year-old dude would complain about. Was like he's driving this, and they were nice cars, like they weren't not nice cars. It's just that Buick was known as like an old person car at the time, so people would give him crap. He's like, I get free cars, so I guess it's,
These are nice.
Get any free car and you're winning.
Yep.
Kai,
and no, not Feds. We are not Feds.
No. Kai said, John Wick is cool, but did you platinum Cyberpunk?
No.
Fear Me, it's Bree said, any compelling villain has some good in them.
Yeah, you'd want, I mean, Mr. Freeze is kind of the great example of that, his love for his wife. But look, I go...
Thanos have good in him?
He loves his daughter dearly.
And in a big a big part of it for me is like, I go back and forth, right? Nowadays, it's about them redeeming the villains. I don't want you to redeem the villains. You can give a villain redeeming qualities. I didn't need the bad guy at the end of Blue Beetle to be like, I've learned the error of my ways. Like, BS. Just let the guy die in a fire explosion being a bad guy. That's fine. You can still point out why he had some fairly good reasons for his actions. Just because his actions can be understood doesn't make them justified, and doesn't mean every villain needs to be turned around and turned into
Every villain is lemon.
I hate it. Just let them be bad guys.
Derpa Lipa said, why is it they want to make it easier for adult hobbit relations, but they do nothing to make beating kids more accessible to the masses? That is all.
Well, yeah. Like, think about that. Like,
what does this mean?
Hollywood?
I didn't really understand that.
Hollywood being the way they are now, and then they're like, but you can't spank your kids. But if you want to, watch.
Does
a
Hollywood
movie,
say that?
I'm pretty sure that Hollywood's probably
subliminally.
Yeah.
You mean?
Hollywood probably doesn't want
Give
to.
one example where Hollywood ever engages that subject.
In saying not beating your kids in the movie, actually. That we watched The Hill.
He didn't do it though.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, when I was watching it, I'm like, is he gonna beat this kid with a belt? Holy crap. And then he didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's like,
which is great too, because it's like a lot of times they try to make super religious like Christian homes look bad.
Yeah.
And
well, that's because it was made by Briarcliff is a small studio, so it was likely religion. There's probably
I don't know what you guys are
funding.
talking about right now because I didn't see The Hill, but
should have seen it. It was actually really good. And that it
was good.
Kai said, Batman best hero, prove me wrong.
Best hero. I mean, he's the one that I like the most, but that's such a, like, I also refuse to be like the dude who's like, oh, I'm sorry, but Deathstroke the anti-hero is actually my favorite hero. Like, I'm, Batman all the way.
Now that I've watched the Dark Knight trilogy and I do like it, like, I'm not crazy about it, but I do like it. I wonder, like, why do we need other Batman movies? Like,
after that, because there's too much money to be made.
Yeah,
that's literally it, though.
But here's the thing: I love when Ben Affleck shows up as Batman and he just looks roided out. That's the best part. He just looks. The juice is palpable. Like, there's some TRT and some HGH.
I gotta watch it.
You should watch Batman vs Superman. Not the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut is ass, and none of them are anywhere near as good as the Dark Knight trilogy.
Right.
But they're far more superhero-esque. The Dark Knight trilogy isn't really a superhero story. It's a crime thriller. Bane is, I guess, but the first two are essentially crime sagas. The second one is especially. Joker and Dent and everything.
Yeah.
Borrows heavily from the comics.
Waffle Sensei said, Batman's bike in Dark Knight Rises was made for Anne Hathaway. Change my mind, Brett.
Oh, yes. What? Judging by the still you get when she parks the bike, yes, it was definitely made for Anne Hathaway.
Urashima Otaru said, rumor was TC...
Tom Cruise.
Oh, Tom Cruise didn't want Katie Holmes in Dark Knight because of a sex scene?
Yeah, no, dude, I'm telling you.
Is there a sex scene?
I'd buy it.
No, is there? Am I not remembering it?
Because if there is,
With
I
Maggie
haven't gotten to that part of the movie.
Well, you've watched all of The Dark Knight. There's not a sex
No, I didn't.
scene
I didn't. I fell asleep like in halfway through Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, but you saw The Dark Knight, and she's.
She was only in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, there was no sex scene though.
No.
Did they kiss though or something?
She's like, "This is your mask," and Tom Cruise is like,
What?
"No touching Christian Bale. No touching Christian Bale."
I'm confused now. Yeah. Like, there was nothing of the sort. The DJ Foy said, Brett, I would recommend Two Hands' great early Ledger Australia crime film from '99 that he did just before 10 Things.
Nice.
It was his big break from TV.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
Okay. Kai said, woohoo, party time again.
Thank you.
Woo. Thank you for the party. Derpa Lipa said, Batfleck, king of the Jews.
Yeah, it's so great. His arms are just like, there's this one scene, there's a scene from the original trailer where he's coming out of this fiery explosion, and it's just terrifying. It's so good. Like, it's like they like, if Batman actually looked like they'd be wondering, like, why is this guy who runs a multi-billion-dollar company look like a fucking Hulk? Why is he so hulking big? They're like, I don't think he's the guy out fighting crime, even though he's a billionaire and he looks like a freaking pro wrestler. Like, why would he be?
What's the most unrealistic part of the Dark Knight trilogy, if you thought?
I mean the nuke at the end. Yeah.
Well, you just spoiled it for me. Okay, whatever.
I didn't spoil anything. I just said there's a scene with a nuke at the end, and
Okay.
it's not realistic.
I think it's just the fact that nobody recognized the lower half of his face.
Yes, and that nobody dies, and that nobody dies in the car crash.
The most
Supposedly.
unrealistic part in every superhero movie is that their girlfriend doesn't recognize that they're the superhero.
And the Joker's plan is ridiculously convoluted and impossible.
Do you guys think that Maggie Gyllenhaal looks like Amy Schumer but skinny?
Ah, she kind of has
Does she
her.
not?
A bit, yeah.
She's got the face a little bit.
I'm not
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Just gonna throw that out.
Carnell
there.
is right. The magic knee brace in The Dark Knight Rises that he gets that just fixes his leg.
Well, also
All it does is like squeeze his leg tight, and then suddenly it works again.
him being
We need to
able
get
to
that for you,
pull
Brett.
up another grown man onto the cliff with one hand on the
Oh
edge.
yeah.
That's not realistic.
Yep.
Kai said, anti-hero, I'm a sucker for Deadpool.
Yep. Well, I'm a Deathstroke fan, but those aren't really the same characters. Though there is a great video online where, like, I don't remember who it was, where they try to figure out who would win in a fight, Deadpool or Deathstroke, because they're from different. One's from Marvel, one's from DC, and I think
That's so geeky.
It is
Holy shit.
super geeky, but I think Deadpool ends up winning because of his regenerative properties. That is the geekiest.
Oh, right.
That is the geekiest thing I've said, and I point out all the time. I'm like, I'm not a nerd because I believe
that makes sense.
I believe that the nerds of the culture deserve their credit. I'm not a nerd. I don't have the cred, but I do remember watching that and laughing and being like, yeah, he's probably right.
Hiroshima Otaru said the sex scene was supposedly in the script.
Oh, okay.
The first one, but
And then they're like, we got Maggie
took it out.
Gyllenhaal instead of Katie Holmes. Take it out.
All right, guys. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Thank you very much for that, and thank you all for joining us here. Now that we are back after the Labor Day weekend, Sarah, let everyone know where they can find you.
Castbrew.com. Or on X or Twitter or whatever it's called.
Twix.
Castbrew Coffee at Twix. Instagram, Castbrew_coffee.
All right. And Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on Twix. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. All right. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter /X/Twix. At Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here Monday through Friday, most of the time, not this week, but most of the time, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would like to listen rather than watch this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show /X, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, you want to read that last one there?
Kai said, geeky is cool. Brett proves it.
Again, I'm not geeky. I'm not a geek or a nerd. Again, those are people that have certain cred within their field of things that they enjoy. I'm not that guy. I am a normie at heart. Guys, we'll be back with another. I will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Later.
Bye.
paid you back, guys. Under the table. Don't spend all that money in one place.